Chapter 1648, Untitled. Chapter 1648, Untitled. Master Ju suddenly turned around and stared at Feng Wu with cold eyes. "Have you spoken with the princess?" Luckily, Feng Wu had learned many things from Cat 9, and she was able to answer the question. "Yes, master," she said respectfully. "Remember, nothing is more important than the seed of the spirit's source this time," Master Ju said solemnly. "Yes, master." Feng Wu nodded. Just then, Feng Wu felt a shadow towering over her. She wondered why Master Ju was standing so close. Did he have to stand so close to his subordinate? She was still wondering when a finger raised her chin. What? Feng Wu went stiff, and her eyes widened. Had she been discovered? Was Master Ju teasing her now? Should she make a move? What if Master Ju didn't have any evidence? Feng Wu was still hesitating when the hand suddenly gripped her chin. "What are you thinking?" Master Ju didn't sound so stiff now. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. It wasn't that she didn't want to speak, she just didn't know what to say. Because if she said the wrong thing, she would expose herself. "Jiang Yin, you're still so stubborn." He sounded a little helpless, and there was also a little affection in his voice. Jiang Yin. Feng Wu's stomach lurched when she heard the name. That was familiar. She had heard it before. All right, it came back to her. She had seen the name on Steward Mu's plate. That name was Jiang Yin. Feng Wu heaved a sigh in relief because Master Ju didn't realize that this Cat 9 was a fake one. He was acting strangely precisely because he thought he was with Cat 9. However, Master Ju's affectionate touch gave Feng Wu a strange idea. Could it be really like that? If that was the case, Feng Wu shuddered. No, it couldn't be like that. However, luck seemed to be working against her. While she was trying to convince herself, Master Ju put his hands on her shoulders. This wasn't happening. Feng Wu's stomach lurched, and she almost fought back. "Yin, you're always like this." The affection in Master Ju's eyes gradually turned into sorrow. "Why are you always running away from me?" Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Was this the cruel, mysterious man in black she met before? So, he would show sadness and weakness with certain people. However, a chill ran down Feng Wu's spine. Judging by Master Ju's attitude toward Jiang Yin, she couldn't imagine how much rage and hatred he would unleash on her when he learned that she had killed Jiang Yin. At that thought, Feng Wu felt uneasy. With that, she shuddered. But her shudder only made Master Ju want to make another move. He reached out with his big warm hand and caressed Feng Wu's cheek. "Yin, for you, I can betray the whole world. Why do you always feel ashamed?" Master Ju slowly stroked Feng Wu's face. "You've worn this mask for so long that I've almost forgotten what you look like." As Master Ju caressed her face, his finger. Chapter 1649, Untitled. Chapter 1649, Untitled. Master Ju's finger reached Feng Wu's chin. Feng Wu almost jumped, because she could tell that he wanted to remove her mask. She couldn't let that happen. Master Ju had seen Feng Wu before, and her identity would be exposed if she didn't stop him. And that wasn't even the most important thing. When Master Ju found out that it wasn't Jiang Yin behind the mask, Feng Wu didn't even need to imagine what would happen then. The consequences were too terrifying for her to think about. That was why Feng Wu was shaking. She caught Master Ju's hand. The more dangerous the situation was, the calmer Feng Wu became. Feng Wu could tell from Master Ju's tone that he wanted Cat 9, but Cat 9 had been avoiding him. That would make it much easier for her. She caught his hand and stared at him coldly. In her eyes, there was anger, warning, and a little sadness and pleading. She didn't know if Cat 9 had so many emotions, but right now, she was using her award-winning acting to show all of them. Master Ju had been quite imposing before, but he returned to himself when he saw the look in Feng Wu's eyes. Master Ju immediately released her. He even took a step back. Yin, of course Feng Wu wouldn't miss such a great chance. She took a step back as well. Ahem. Embarrassed, Master Ju changed the subject. By the way, bring that Duan Chaoga out. Wait, Feng Wu didn't expect to get information on Chaoga so soon. The pleasant surprise came so quickly that she didn't have time to react. Go! He glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, all right. Judging by Master Ju's tone, Cat 9 should know where Chaoga was kept, but she wasn't the real Cat 9, so how was she supposed to know where Chaoga was kept? However, if she let it show that she didn't know, Master Ju would definitely be suspicious, and she would be in trouble. Master Ju looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. He was prompting her. If she kept stalling, he would grow suspicious. Yin. Master Ju frowned a little. Feng Wu's eyes lit up when she recalled the special lampshade she had seen earlier. Now, she could only try. With that thought, Feng Wu slowly walked up to the lampshade. She was still hesitating when Master Ju gave her a bewildered look. He then waved his hand. Poof! The candle in the lampshade lit up. Feng Wu stared at the lampshade, but nothing changed. So, that wasn't the real entrance, was it? Feng Wu's stomach lurched. If she hadn't been careful earlier, she would have been exposed by now. Just then, Master Ju raised his hand, and the light went out. Click! As the light went out, a door slowly opened. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. It really was the lampshade. She didn't know that was possible. It was a good thing she had been so cautious. If she had taken any action just then, her cover would have been blown. Luckily, her caution saved her life. Just then, Master Ju glanced at her and said casually, "Let's go." Chapter 1650, Untitled. Chapter 1650, Untitled. Master Ju glanced at Feng Wu and said casually, "Let's go." Feng Wu nodded and followed him. There was a silent tunnel up ahead, so silent that it was scary. They could hear each other's breathing. The silence only accentuated the awkwardness. A few times, Master Ju wanted to say something, but was stopped by Feng Wu's stare. Master Ju could only sigh to himself. They walked through the dark tunnel before reaching a dark room. It was a small square room built from special material that was used to imprison capable cultivators. The door opened with a click. Feng Wu was filled with rage when she saw the scene inside. Her pupils contracted and her eyes went blood red. Chaoga was tied to a pillar with her hands chained down. She was covered in wounds and blood. At that moment, Feng Wu wanted to kill Master Ju right there and then. Master Ju immediately felt her rage, and he gave her a sidelong glance. What? How sharp? Naturally, Feng Wu couldn't say anything. She fought that impulse with all her strength. After taking a deep breath, Feng Wu smiled a little. She's been tortured. The blood on Chaoga looked fresh. Feng Wu could put the wounds to within an hour. She had been abused. Yes. Master Ju didn't think much of it. It was Xiao Yun, probably. Xiao Yun? Who was that? Feng Wu couldn't ask. She could only make a mental note of that name. Master Ju seemed to see the dissatisfaction in Feng Wu's eyes, so he explained, which was very rare for him. This Duan Chaoga is quite interesting. Feng Wu said, really? Between her life and her friend, she chose the latter, which was a really odd choice. However, because she was the first person to ever make that choice, I let her live. Don't worry. I only kill people. I don't torture them. If you're not happy. Feng Wu looked expectantly at Master Ju. Master Ju was suddenly very happy because he liked it when Yin looked at him like that. If you don't want to see blood, how about I let you take care of this Duan Chaoga? Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Can I? Master Ju smiled meaningfully. Of course you can. You know I want nothing more than to have you stay. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. This Duan Chaoga, Feng Wu hesitated. We were using her existence to get rid of Feng Wu, but Feng Wu isn't very important herself. What's important is Jun Lin Yuan who's behind her, said Master Ju. Feng Wu asked, how are we going to get rid of Feng Wu? Feng Wu found this disguise as Cat 9 very worthwhile. People just kept telling her how they would work against her. Master Ju smiled. Yin, do you know her? You sound like you care a lot about her. Feng Wu said, she tricked me once. She did? How bold. Yin, don't worry. She'll be crying soon. Feng Wu asked why. Master Ju said, because of Jun Lin Yuan. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. What about Jun Lin Yuan? It seems that the Junwu Empire thinks that he's missing. Master Ju smiled. He was about to speak when Xiaoga woke up from her unconsciousness. What are you going to do to Xiao Wu? Chapter 1651, Untitled. Chapter 1651, Untitled. When Xiaoga woke up and saw the two people in front of her, she bared her teeth at them. What are you going to do to Xiao Wu? Master Ju gave Xiaoga a contemptuous look and didn't say a word. He only told Feng Wu, after the spiritual essence recovers, you'll stay right here with me. Remember? What else could Feng Wu do but nod her head? Master Ju smiled happily because Yin was much more obedient today than usual. Feng Wu was very good at reading people, so she immediately could tell what Master Ju was thinking. That only made her more wary, because the more he cared about Jiang Yin, the angrier he would be once he found out the truth. Master Ju's capability was far beyond hers. The two of you are abominable. Xiaoga glared at them. You disgust me. I'm going to throw up my dinner from last night. Master Ju didn't care about other things, but this was different. Feng Wu could sense him getting angry, and his rage was accumulating fast. But Xiaoga didn't seem to realize it. She glowered and said, What are you looking at? Kill me if you don't like it. You want to use me to set Xiao Wu up? In your dreams. It pained Feng Wu to hear that. Xiaoga knew what she said would set Master Ju off, but she wanted him to kill her, because she had heard how they were going to use her. Silly girl. Feng Wu felt tears coming to her eyes, and she had to try very hard not to cry. Kill me if you want. The two of you disgust me. I'm going to throw up. Xiaoga wasn't very good at insulting people, so she repeated those words over and over again. But that was enough to enrage Master Ju. He stepped out and raised a hand. Xiaoga smiled in relief. The next second, Feng Wu caught Master Ju's arm. He frowned and looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Feng Wu shook her head. You promised me just then that Duan Xiaoga will be in my keeping. Have you forgotten? Master Ju frowned. She deserves to die. His yin was sacred and inviolable to him. But this woman had just insulted him. Feng Wu smiled wryly. So, do you always go back on your word? Master Ju was speechless. He grunted, flipped his sleeves, and stormed off. The gust of wind that was kicked up blew over Xiaoga's face. Xiaoga's cheek was cut, and blood ran down her face. Feng Wu gave Xiaoga a grumpy look after Master Ju was gone. Xiaoga was furious. Hey, what are you looking at? You're so annoying. Feng Wu said, I just saved your life, and you call me annoying? Hey, I didn't ask you to save me, did I? Did I? You ruined my plan. Feng Wu said, How can I ruin anything for you when I saved your life? You're unbelievable. Xiaoga went scarlet in the face. You're the unbelievable one. I want to die. Why did you save me? Feng Wu looked at her in resignation. Do you really want to die? Xiaoga said, Yes, so what? Feng Wu said, Duan Xiaoga, have you lost your mind? Why don't you want to live? Xiaoga said, You're his accomplice. You have no right to say that. Oof. Go away. Get out of my sight. Feng Wu heard. Chapter 1652, Untitled. Chapter 1652, Untitled. Feng Wu heard the footsteps outside get fainter, and she gave Xiaoga a grumpy look. Do you really want me to go? Xiaoga yelled at Feng Wu. Go away. Go away. Feng Wu said, I'll leave then. Xiaoga snorted. You sound as if I'll stop you. You're so ridiculous. However, before she could go on, Feng Wu took off her mask. Oh, Xiaoga shrieked. Shoo. Feng Wu silenced her with her finger. Xiaoga immediately nodded, but she still couldn't contain her excitement. Ah, Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, is it really you? Oh God. Oh my God. I knew you would come save me. And here you are. Xiao Wu. Xiaoga was so excited that she wanted to run to Feng Wu, but with all the chains, she couldn't move. Feng Wu rubbed her head grumpily. Do you still want me to go now? No. Xiao Wu is the best. I don't want you to go. Xiaoga, the tough girl, had turned completely soft. They hugged each other and cheered for a while before they returned to themselves. I'll get you out. Feng Wu then tried to remove the chains. Wait. Chowga stopped her. Feng Wu looked up and was confused. Chowga smiled wryly. Xiao Wu, you can't get me out yet. Feng Wu asked why. Chowga said, the chains aren't just locked, there's a seal on them as well. Master Ju will know as soon as you tamper with it. Feng Wu said, don't worry about it. I can take care of him. Chowga realized that she was right. From what she had observed, Master Ju definitely had a thing for Feng Wu, no, for Cat 9. But Chowga still smiled bitterly. Xiao Wu, it still won't work. Feng Wu frowned. Why? Chowga said, I have something planted in my body. They told me that it'll explode if I step out of this room. Feng Wu's eyes widened. Could something so horrible really exist? She immediately examined Chowga's body, and her eyes widened when she was done. There really is a small black dot on your chest over your heart, and it's pulsating as if it's alive. Feng Wu drew in her breath. What she didn't say was that this living creature was made from metal and a lot like the bomb Chowga had described. Damn it. If Feng Wu had felt a little guilty about killing Cat 9 at first, it was completely gone now. She wanted to kill Master Ju right there and then. I can't get you out now. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu looked at Chowga. Chowga, do you trust me? Why do you even ask? Chowga said grumpily. You're the only person I trust in my life. It pained Feng Wu to hear that. Of course she knew the answer. When Master Ju had told Chowga to choose between life and friendship, she willingly gave up her life to protect Feng Wu. How was Feng Wu going to repay such a friendship? Chapter 1653, Untitled. Chapter 1653, Untitled. Chowga, don't worry. I'll think of something. I'll find a way to save you. You just have to promise me one thing. Feng Wu looked into Chowga's eyes. Chowga looked at her in bewilderment. Feng Wu said, you have to wait for me to save you. Don't give up. Got it? Chowga said, all right. Feng Wu poked her head with a finger. If they threaten you with me, don't give in. All right? Chowga said, no, you're Xiao Wu. I can't let them threaten you. Feng Wu said, you little idiot. You know I'm amazing. How can they threaten me? Chowga said, you have a point. All right. Feng Wu knew that Chowga could be a little stubborn in that aspect, so she had to explain everything clearly. Otherwise, Chowga would do it again. So, they were only bluffing. Next time when something like this happens, you have to protect your own life first. Got it? As long as you're alive, you can wait until I come to your rescue. Understood? Chowga said, no, if I have to choose between you and me, I'll always choose you. Before she could finish, Feng Wu heard clear footsteps outside. She made a gesture to hush Chowga while she quickly put the mask back on. 3 seconds later, Cat 9 reappeared and Feng Wu disappeared. Chowga stared at her in amazement. It had never occurred to her that it could be done in 3 seconds. Xiao Wu, what if someone pretends to be you in the future? Chowga panicked a little. Feng Wu chuckled. That's easy. We can do this gesture. If it's correct, then it's the real me. She then raised 2 fingers and made a, gesture to Chowga. I'll use this, and you can use the okay one. No one else will understand apart from us. What do you think? Feng Wu smiled. Yes. Chowga was elated. Only the 2 of them knew this signal. Even His Royal Highness didn't know. The footsteps grew closer and closer. Soon, a figure showed up in front of Feng Wu. It was a teenager wearing a purple robe. His eyebrows and the outer corners of his eyes slanted upward, giving him an alluring look. He was, Cat 9, didn't you go to Princess Sapphiro? Why are you back? Feng Wu frowned. This man seemed to be very familiar with Cat 9, so he could only be one of a limited number of people. Hey, isn't it Duan Chowga? I whipped her half dead only just then. What? She's already awake now? The pretty teenager walked around Chowga, clicking his tongue. Feng Wu's face immediately turned livid. She knew who he was. Master Ju had said just then that Chowga's wounds were inflicted by Xiao Yun. It had to be him. He had hurt her friend, and Feng Wu wouldn't stand for it. Thump! She raised her hand and slapped Xiao Yun in the face. Xiao Yun was dumbfounded. He was hit before he even instigated anything. Before Xiao Yun could react, Feng Wu kicked him. Thump! Xiao Yun was kicked away. He made a perfect arc in the air before dropping to the ground with a thump. There was the crisp sound of something heavy being knocked over. Xiao Yun almost fainted from the pain. Would Feng Wu stop there? Obviously not. Chapter 1654, Untitled. Chapter 1654, Untitled. Feng Wu quickly charged forward and leapt up. When she landed, her fist smashed right into Xiao Yun. Thump! Poor Xiao Yun. He had only just arrived, but was beaten up before he even instigated anything. Thump, thump, thump. Feng Wu punched and kicked, unleashing her anger. She only stopped 10 minutes later when she was tired herself. Xiao Yun lay on the ground and was barely breathing. After a long while, he finally struggled to his feet and pointed at Feng Wu. Cat 9, you hit me. How dare you? Some of his teeth were missing, and he made hissing sounds as he spoke. Feng Wu smirked. Yes, I hit you. Spout bullshit again, and I'll kill you. Xiao Yun was furious. He knew about what was going on between Master Ju and Cat 9, and he had often mocked and threatened Cat 9 with it. Cat 9 became easily abashed and didn't dare vent his anger, nor would he go to Master Ju about it, so he was always suffering. You hit me? Huh, you actually dared to hit me. I'll tell everyone. Feng Wu smirked. About what? Xiao Yun laughed. About what? What else can it be? The thing between you and Master Ju, of course. Ha! What do you think people will say when they hear what the proud Master Ju is doing with his servant? Staring at Xiao Yun, Feng Wu suddenly smiled. The look in her eyes made Xiao Yun's stomach lurch. Somehow, he had an ominous feeling. But Feng Wu didn't stop there. Really? What is Master Ju doing with his servant? Feng Wu chuckled. Xiao Yun was provoked. This man used to be so easily threatened, but he was all smiles and so calm now. Xiao Yun didn't believe that he could pretend for long. Xiao Yun smirked. I saw it with my own eyes. Master Ju pressed you against the wall, and the two of you were kissing. Oomph. That view, TSK, TSK. If I tell other people, everyone will turn away from Master Ju, and you won't be any better. Feng Wu said, So, are you sure you're going to tell everyone? Xiao Yun said, Of course. Feng Wu said, What if Master Ju told you not to say anything? Xiao Yun said, I might be working for Master Ju now, but why do you think you would have any control over me? Master Ju favors you only, and I've been disappointed with him for a long time. All I have for him is hatred now. I want my revenge. I'll reveal your secret, Before Xiao Yun could finish, he screamed. Looking down, Xiao Yun saw that a sharp blade had pierced his chest from behind. Blood tainted the clothes over his chest like a blooming red flower. It then dripped down. Arg, arg. Xiao Yun wanted to speak, but blood filled his mouth when he opened it. He looked at Feng Wu with eyes filled with rage, hatred, and resentment, but there was also curiosity. He turned around. Behind him, it was none other than Master Ju himself. Actually, that had been Feng Wu's plan all along. She had set Xiao Yun up to be killed. She could have killed Xiao Yun in secret, but she didn't want to. She wanted to kill him when she was facing him. Chapter 1655, Untitled. Chapter 1655, Untitled. Xiao Yun had tortured Xiaoga, so of course Feng Wu wouldn't let Xiao Yun die so easily. That was why she hadn't given Xiao Yun a chance to speak first before she beat the crap out of him. With all the noise, of course Master Ju heard it. Even if he wasn't curious, he still cared about Cat 9 and his safety, so of course he would come down here. Master Ju arrived when Xiao Yun had almost been beaten unconscious. Feng Wu then set Xiao Yun up. Out of everything, that foolish Xiao Yun had to say that he would tell other people. Master Ju didn't care what the world would think of him, but Cat 9 did, so Xiao Yun had to die. Feng Wu used Master Ju to kill Xiao Yun square and fair. Only then was her anger appeased a little. Thump! Xiao Yun fell to the ground with a thump. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. She then stared at Master Ju. Why did you kill him? Master Ju wiped the blood off his sword blade with a white cloth and said indifferently, "Because he deserved to die." Feng Wu nodded. Master Ju glanced at Feng Wu. "Are you not mad?" Feng Wu asked, "Why should I be?" Master Ju said, "You're always telling me off for being too cruel." Feng Wu didn't say a word. She was counting on him being cruel today. Seeing how Feng Wu was able to get Xiao Yun killed to avenge her in such a short time, Xiaoga was over the moon and admired her greatly. Xiao Wu was as clever as ever. She didn't even need to get revenge herself, not to mention that she had done it in such a short time. How could Xiaoga not feel amazed? When she saw Feng Wu talking to Master Ju, Xiaoga felt very anxious, but at the same time, she admired Feng Wu even more. If it was her, Xiaoga shook her head. She would never be able to stay so calm. By the way, Feng Wu frowned, pointed at Xiaoga, and asked Master Ju, "What's that time bomb doing inside her?" Master Ju glanced at her. "You know about that?" Feng Wu asked. "Is that something that you can't talk about?" Master Ju said, "Of course I can't tell anyone else, but it's you who's asking. I can tell you everything I know." Feng Wu sighed inwardly. Poor Master Ju. If he knew that Cat 9 was. Master Teacher C. Basie put that bomb there himself. Master Ju smiled wryly. "Even I can't remove it." Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. "Master Teacher C. Basie? Why did he do that?" Master Ju said, "I don't know the specifics. It probably has something to do with my younger martial uncle's future disciple, since to him, finding a disciple is more important than his divine power. However, if Miss Chaoga here takes one step out of this room without removing the bomb, she's dead." Feng Wu said, "So it really is like that. If she wanted to save Chaoga, she could only go to Master Teacher C. Basie." Feng Wu rubbed her head in frustration. Master Ju grumpily tapped her head. "What's bothering you? Where is Master Teacher C. Basie?" Feng Wu asked. Master Ju said, "Other people won't know that answer, but I just happened to meet with him yesterday, so I can tell you." Feng Wu looked at Master Ju, her eyes filled with hope and expectation. Just then, a thought suddenly struck Master Ju, and his face turned livid. "Why do you suddenly want to see my younger martial uncle? Is it for her?" Chapter 1656, Untitled. Chapter 1656, Untitled. Master Ju pointed at Chaoga. Feng Wu said, "I just..." Master Ju said, "You're in love with her, aren't you? I knew it. You've always been into girls." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Before Feng Wu could say anything, Chaoga was cracking up. "Ah, Master Ju, you're hilarious. Ha ha. How can you ask such a question?" If she hadn't been chained down, Chaoga would have rolled around on the ground in a fit of laughter. Master Ju relaxed when he saw Chaoga's reaction. Feng Wu looked away with a wry smile. "I just want to know if I'm qualified enough to be his disciple." Only then did Master Ju heave a sigh of relief. He then rubbed his head. "9, my younger martial uncle doesn't even think I'm qualified. As for you," Feng Wu feigned an angry tone. "What? Can't I be more talented than you?" Master Ju loved it when Cat 9 was like this. The old Cat 9 was very calm and objective, but he was also too cold and distant. This new Cat 9 was so much more lively, and Master Ju liked him a lot better. Master Ju said, Sure. You have much more talent than your master here." Feng Wu asked, "So, where's the master teacher?" Master Ju smiled bitterly. "I can't name that place. Even if I could, you won't know where it is. If you can't say it, you can draw it." Feng Wu fetched some pen and paper and put it in front of Master Ju. "Draw it." Luckily, Feng Wu was playing Cat 9, the man Master Ju loved too much to say no to, so there was no way he could turn Feng Wu down. Master Ju sighed in resignation. "I do this only for you. If anyone else had dared ask about the master teacher's secret, there would be consequences." Feng Wu said, "You're the best." Master Ju couldn't believe his ears. He was so excited that he spilled ink on the paper. "What did you say?" He suddenly looked up. Feng Wu asked, "Did I say anything? You must have heard wrong." Master Ju smiled and gave Feng Wu a grumpy look. He found Cat 9 more and more lovely. Master Ju was only teasing Cat 9 because he knew there was no way he would be able to find the place. But because of what he heard, Master Ju was very happy, so he drew a lot of details. In a little while, Master Ju drew a detailed map. There were mountains, rivers, lush trees, and a distinctive cliff. One look, and Feng Wu could tell where it was. She rejoiced to see the detailed map and felt thankful that she had said what she had. Otherwise, that place would be very difficult to find. Master Ju handed the map to Feng Wu and said, "After the spiritual essence recovers, this is going to be the core of the land of the spirit source, since the master teacher provides all the energy for the land." Is the master teacher really so impressive? If that's the case, he can control the entire land of the spirit source, can't he? Feng Wu cried out. But Master Ju gave her a grumpy look. The master teacher is very powerful, but compared with the vast land of the spirit source, Feng Wu understood. Master Ju wanted to keep Cat 9 here forever, but Feng Wu didn't dare linger. Anything could happen at any moment here. Therefore, Feng Wu tactfully turned down Master Ju's invitation to go together and went straight back to her own tent from the scenal part of the campsite. "Miss Feng Wu, have you seen His Royal Highness?" a maid asked her, half weeping. Chapter 1657, Untitled. Chapter 1657, Untitled. "Miss Feng Wu, have you seen His Royal Highness?" The weeping maid was from the Crown Prince's residence, and who usually followed Granny Gong around. Feng Wu frowned. "Is Jun Linyuan not back yet?" The girl, Xiang Cao, nodded. Feng Wu's eyebrows knitted tighter. Somehow, she had a bad feeling about this. Feng Sun arrived in a hurry when Feng Wu got back to the campsite. "Xiao Wu, you're finally back. Where have you been? I couldn't find you anywhere. I was going to go to the other side to ask for your safe return." Feng Sun sounded very anxious. Feng Wu smiled wryly. "I'm all right. I was playing another role, that's all." Feng Sun knew how well Feng Wu could disguise herself and felt relieved. "That's why I couldn't find you anywhere on the other side. You were someone else. I lost that person I was following." Feng Sun scratched his head and said apologetically, "Xiao Wu, I'm sorry." Feng Wu waved her hands and was amused. "You might have lost the target, but I didn't. I got something." Feng Sun was relieved to hear that. Good. I knew it. Xiao Wu, you're the best." "So what did you find?" Actually, he didn't think that Feng Wu would be able to obtain much useful information in such a short time, until Feng Wu told him what happened in the last few hours. "What? You took Cat 9's mask and ransacked his storage room. And you pretended to be him, the man who faked his death. You then confronted Steward Mu and killed him? Ha! You know what Sapphiro is going to do to you." "What? Master Ju has Chaoga?" "Of course I know Master Ju. He's Sapphiro's senior brother and a famous warrior of the grassland." "What? Master Ju is... Whoa, that's big news. What? Master Ju even drew you a map so that you can have a go." "Holy crap. Xiao Wu, do you know what this map means?" "It means that wherever the master teacher is, it's going to be the core of the land of the spirit source this time, and there's a high chance that we'll find the seed of the spirit source there." "This is great news. It really is. You uncovered so much useful stuff. Xiao Wu, you're amazing. How did you do so many things in such a short period of time?" Feng Sun couldn't stop singing Feng Wu's praises once he started. Feng Wu was smiling at first, but not anymore. Chaoga is still locked in a dark basement with stale air. Normal people would feel dizzy if they remain in there for too long, let alone Chaoga, who's injured. Feng Wu had wanted to treat Chaoga's injuries, but it would be too obvious and wouldn't do Chaoga any good. Therefore, Feng Wu didn't treat her external injuries and only gave her some medicine for her internal injuries. "Yes, we must rescue Chaoga." Feng Sun pitied Chaoga as well. She was such a warm and passionate girl, but she was so badly hurt now. "To save Chaoga, we have to find a master teacher first." With a wry smile, Feng Wu took out a small brocade box. "The master teacher doesn't have to be there in person. I just have to steal a streak of spiritual essence from him. With that, I'll be able to remove the time bomb in Chaoga's heart." Chapter 1658, Untitled. Chapter 1658, Untitled. Find a master teacher and steal a streak of his spiritual essence. Feng Wu smiled bitterly to herself when she recalled how the grassland revered master teacher Baisi. This task was probably more difficult than all the tasks before put together, but she couldn't stop just because it was difficult. She had to save Chaoga. Feng Wu shook her head adamantly. Chaoga could give up her own life for her, so why couldn't she do the same? Xiao Wu, seeing that Feng Wu was deep in thought, Feng Sun felt uneasy because he didn't know what she was thinking. Feng Wu chuckled. Go and get some sleep. Get your strength back. We have a tough war to fight tomorrow. If Jun Linyuan was around, this wouldn't be a problem. When he showed up, nothing was impossible. But Jun Linyuan wasn't around, and they were on their own. Early next morning, as expected, Feng Wu had only just gotten up, washed and gotten dressed when she heard someone shouting outside. Where's Feng Wu? Feng Wu, come out. She agreed to a competition? Why hasn't she come out? Is she trying to hide? Is she that kind of person? I used to think so highly of her. The voices drew nearer. Feng Wu could tell that one of them was Sephiro's. As expected, when Sephiro deliberately raised her voice, she attracted everyone's attention. Feng Wu walked out and soon saw people gathering around. Jun Wuxia and Zhuo Qingyu were there as well, but Feng Wu had successfully threatened them before, so they didn't dare get involved this time. But Dugu Yamo hadn't been threatened, so Jun Wuxia and Zhuo Qingyu talked her into putting herself forward. Dugu Yamo feigned a doubtful tone. That's impossible. Why would Feng Wu agree to a horse race against you? You grew up on horseback. Sephiro smirked. Why wouldn't she? She agreed to it herself last night. I didn't force her. Feng Wu stepped out at that moment. Sephiro stared at Feng Wu. Tell them. I'm telling the truth. You agreed to compete with me yourself. Those on Feng Wu's side all shook their heads repeatedly. Don't say yes. You can't. Sephiro is known to be an excellent rider, even by the standards of the grassland. Feng Wu, who had grown up elsewhere, would never be her match. Moreover, Sephiro had a higher cultivation level than Feng Wu, so Feng Wu was at an absolute disadvantage. Sephiro smirked. So, are you going to go back on your word? Huh, shame on you. Feng Wu gave her a half-smile and wondered if Sephiro still hadn't heard about Cat 9's disappearance. However, since the princess wants a horse race, then, Feng Wu smiled. How about I get to decide what the race course should be? Sure. Sephiro didn't care where the race took place, as long as Feng Wu agreed to participate. Once Feng Wu said yes, she would have 100 ways to kill her. What route do you want to take? She stared at Feng Wu. Seeing that Feng Wu had agreed, the others were all surprised. They couldn't understand why Feng Wu would do that. She was using her weakness to compete against her opponent's advantage. She had no hope of winning. Chapter 1659, Untitled. Chapter 1659, Untitled. Jun Wuxia and Zhuo Qingyu looked at each other in excitement. Sephiro had insisted on a horse race against Feng Wu, so there had to be something strange behind it. If Sephiro could think of something, so could Jun Wuxia and Zhuo Qingyu. So, Sephiro had to have prepared something for Feng Wu. Once Feng Wu agreed, would she be able to come back alive? To their surprise, Feng Wu said yes. She said yes. Jun Wuxia clenched her fists. Zhuo Qingyu smirked. She's too proud. She has no idea that she's going to get herself killed. Jun Wuxia said, that's right. Horse riding is tricky. If she falls and breaks something, it'll just be seen as an accident. Moreover, she chuckled. My brother isn't here, so no one will be there to protect her. Zhuo Qingyu stared at Feng Wu before narrowing her eyes. She gloated over Feng Wu's potential predicament. Feng Wu, you're walking to your doom yourself. When Sephiro kills you, don't blame us for it. Meanwhile, Jun Wuxia and the others had instigated things without Sephiro knowing it. Sephiro sneered at Feng Wu. What's your route like? Feng Wu showed Sephiro the map. Do you know this place? Sephiro found the question idiotic. I grew up here. I know all the places in this area. What a silly question. You want to race there? Fine. This mountain has a circular base. We'll start here, run around it, and return to the same spot. Very well. This is the route, then. She then glanced at Feng Wu. Since you've decided the route, I get to decide what the stakes should be. Feng Wu smiled at Sapphiro. She was curious as to what stake Sapphiro would propose in front of everyone. If you win, I'll give you half of my wealth. Sapphiro spoke in a resolute tone. Immediately, everyone gave her strange looks. Was that necessary? It was just a horse race. She was going to give up half of her wealth for it. Feng Wu remained unperturbed, as if she had no idea what half of Sapphiro's wealth meant. If you lose, Sapphiro gave Feng Wu a strange look. If you lose, you're forbidden to like His Royal Highness. Wow. Everyone saw what Sapphiro was getting at when she said those words. So, Sapphiro was in love with the Crown Prince. But no one found that strange, so they didn't show much reaction. The crowd was discussing among themselves. That's why Sapphiro hates Feng Wu so much. And that explains why Sapphiro is here all the time. And the discussion grew very loud. Everyone was saying that Sapphiro was very frank with her own feelings, and they wondered if Feng Wu would dare agree. So, are you going to say no? Sapphiro smiled at Feng Wu, but her eyes weren't smiling. Feng Wu chuckled. Why should I? When Feng Wu said that. Chapter 1660, Untitled. Chapter 1660, Untitled. Wow. Everyone stared at Feng Wu in amazement. She said yes. How could she? Has she lost her mind? She can't agree to that. Sapphiro's wealth does sound nice, but it's not comparable with His Royal Highness. His Royal Highness treats Feng Wu very differently. He's been protecting her in front of everyone else, but she's so greedy for money. I think she's gone mad. Feng Wu's reputation had improved quite a bit over the past few days, but because of this, she was deemed a money chaser. Despite her calm, Feng Wu was smiling in resignation to herself. What did she do? She didn't have any other choice. This competition against Sapphiro was bound to happen, and she had designed her counterattack the night before. She could turn Sapphiro into a laughingstock while obtaining half of her wealth. So why not? She wasn't a fool. Sapphiro was thrilled when Feng Wu agreed. You agree? Great. This is great. Sapphiro then had someone bring them some pen and paper right away. The ink was ready. All they needed to do was write down their names, which just showed how long Sapphiro had been preparing for this. Soon, they both signed their names. When they made an oath to the gods, the deal was sealed. Which horse do you want? Sapphiro pointed at the horses in the stable with a grin. How about I choose one for you? Sapphiro was very confident. All the horses here in the stable had been drugged and would go haywire when they smelled the scent of the yin-yang needle. When that happened, Feng Wu would. Feng Wu walked into the stable and checked each horse. Many people stood outside. Because the stable only had a plain fence, they could all see inside clearly. I think number 11 is nice and strong. Number 11 just gave birth. It won't last long. She can't choose it. I think number 15 is nice. It has bright eyes. You can tell that it's a clever horse. I think number 17 is nice. Everyone was picking horses as if they were horse experts. However, Feng Wu shook her head as she walked. Seeing that Feng Wu was about to reach the end, Sapphiro grew anxious. She frowned and asked, Do you not like any of them? Feng Wu shook her head with a wry smile. I'm very picky with horses because I know how to evaluate them. She was telling the truth. Because her beautiful master pretty much knew everything. He had taught Feng Wu everything he knew. And Feng Wu was an excellent student. The beautiful master only needed to say something once, and she was able to remember everything in perfect order. Therefore, Feng Wu had a lot of knowledge in her head that she didn't even know she knew, but when she needed it, she could find it in her mind. Hearing how strict Feng Wu was with selecting a horse, other people immediately had faith in her. How about I still bet on Feng Wu? I think she's going to win. Plus, do you see how high her standard is when it comes to horses? She must know them well. The people of the grassland aren't the only ones who know how to ride horses. We could do it equally well. It's not inevitable that we'll lose. No, I have to support Miss Feng Wu. That's right. We have to. Chapter 1661, Untitled. Chapter 1661, Untitled. However, Feng Wu had almost gone through the entire stable looking for a horse. Sapphiro grew impatient and stared at Feng Wu. Which horse are you going to choose? You're not stalling, are you? I'm warning you. We made a deal. If you don't take the bet, you lose. She was also feeling agitated because everyone had disliked Feng Wu at first and had seemed to take Sapphiro's side. But now, as the crowd came back to their senses, it wasn't so easy to fool them anymore. Hey, here's a nice horse. Feng Wu then saw the last horse. It was a brownish-red color and was all skin and bones. Even one of its legs was crooked. Everyone was speechless. Did you hear what Feng Wu just said? She said it was a nice horse. Ha! A nice horse? Is she out of her mind? Can't she see that it's the worst horse? Does she know anything about horses? Why did I hear that Feng Wu only learned how to ride a horse a short while ago? So, will Feng Wu definitely choose that horse? I don't think so. If we lose, we only lose some money. But if she loses, she'll be forbidden to like Jun Lin Yuan. That's unimaginable. Immediately, everyone looked at Feng Wu nervously. Please don't choose that one. When everyone was trying to use their mind power to stop Feng Wu from choosing the horse, Feng Wu. To everyone's surprise, she told Sapphiro, I want this horse. No, quite a few people of the Junwu Empire had followed Feng Wu here, and some of them had become Feng Wu's loyal fans. Therefore, they had bet on Feng Wu winning. However, when Feng Wu really chose the horse, they almost went crazy. No way. This isn't happening. I can't believe this. Has Miss Feng lost her mind? She can't even win with a normal horse, but she chose the worst one. That's just... She's given up already. So, should we still bet on Feng Wu? No, absolutely not. I definitely won't. Luckily, before the horse was picked, they were still allowed to make changes to their bets. I'll change it. I'll change it now. I'll put my bet on Sapphiro. Feng Wu is too willful this time. I'm disappointed. She's betrayed us all. Forget it. Let's change sides now. Feng Wu had no idea that the others were abandoning her because of her choice. Had she known, she might not know whether to laugh or cry. Are you sure this is the horse you want? Sapphiro found Feng Wu's choice insane. Are you sure? Are you really sure? Feng Wu chuckled. Of course I'm sure. I'll take it. The others all deemed her an idiot. Sapphiro shook her head repeatedly. No, it won't be a fair race. You know me. I'm a reasonable person. So, I'll find you a nice horse. But Feng Wu shook her head. No, I must have this one. I don't want anything else. And the crowd was speechless. Chapter 1662, A Bet. Chapter 1662, A Bet. No, I only want this horse. Feng Wu pointed at the scrawny horse and spoke with a smile. Everyone began to give Feng Wu strange looks. She had to be out of her mind. How is that horse ever going to win against Sapphiro's? Sapphiro was about to say something, when Feng Wu waved her hand and gave her verdict. Don't bother. I made up my mind. Sapphiro smirked. Since you're going to lose for sure, I won't stop you. That bet still counts when you lose. When Sapphiro and Feng Wu were choosing the horses, word of their race spread. Everyone heard about it. Apart from how Jun Wuxia and Zhuo Qingyu were spreading the news, the others were mainly interested in the bet. If Feng Wu lost, she would give up on Jun Lin Yuan. That condition alone was enough to fill everyone with expectation over this bet. Even Emperor Wu heard about it. Emperor Wu and Chieftain Senil were chatting over tea with their vassals sitting around them. They had pretty much exhausted all the topics they could talk about when the news arrived. That's nonsense. What do they think they're doing? Chieftain Senil immediately rose to his feet. Sapphiro is being reckless again. Emperor Wu was a little glad to hear the news. He had never liked the idea of Feng Wu being together with Jun Lin Yuan. If he could use this chance to have Feng Wu leave Jun Lin Yuan, this wouldn't be too bad an idea. Hence, he stopped Chieftain Senil immediately. The girls are just messing with each other. Let them be. Let's go back to what we were talking about. Chieftain Senil was only pretending to try to stop his daughter. Since Emperor Wu said so, he sat back down. In the Empress Dowager's tent. What? Feng Wu really said that? Ever since Feng Wu helped her make a breakthrough last time, the Empress Dowager had been having complicated feelings toward Feng Wu. She couldn't bring herself to talk to Feng Wu, so she just avoided her in embarrassment. Did that girl really say that? If she loses, she'll stop liking Junjun? The Empress Dowager wouldn't believe it, so she asked Granny Lan again. Granny Lan smiled wryly. According to the news, yes. The Empress Dowager said, Is that girl crazy? She's not as capable as Sapphiro. Granny Lan nodded. The Empress Dowager said, And she can't match Sapphiro in horse riding either. That girl practically grew up on horseback. Granny Lan nodded again. The Empress Dowager asked, Is that girl crazy? Where does she get the confidence that she can win? Granny Lan smiled wryly. That's what makes me wonder as well. The Empress Dowager grunted. This Feng Wu is so annoying. Granny Lan looked at her in bewilderment. Why? The Empress Dowager snorted. Who does she think my Junjun is? She can't make a bet on him just like that. Granny Lan said, But your Majesty, I thought you didn't like her around His Royal Highness, so shouldn't you want her to lose? No, that's not it. The Empress Dowager said angrily. Only my Junjun can decide who he wants. She can't say no to Junjun. This is unacceptable. Granny Lan was speechless. The Empress Dowager said, I'm so mad. Granny Lan asked, So, Your Majesty, do you want Miss Feng Wu to win or lose? The Empress Dowager was lost for words. Chapter 1663, A Young Master. Chapter 1663, A Young Master. In fact, the Empress Dowager didn't know why she was so angry either. She just was. She was very mad. Granny Lan could only smile bitterly. Emperor Wu and the Empress Dowager weren't the only ones who were paying attention to what was about to happen. Empress Dugu had been discussing it with the other noble ladies as well, because the stakes were simply too striking. Meanwhile, the race was about to begin. Sapphiro's horse was an impressive one. It was strong, had sharp eyes and glossy hair, and was unparalleled on the grassland. It was almost as good as the chieftain's own horse. Thus, everyone looked at Feng Wu when they saw the horse. Feng Wu brought out her horse as well. The contrast wasn't too striking when the two horses were apart, but now that they were put together, the difference was simply too glaring. Light Bolt, you don't need to run too fast. 30% of your normal speed will be enough. Sapphiro rubbed her horse's head. Light Bolt had the intelligence of an 8-year-old, so it could understand Sapphiro. It glanced at Feng Wu's horse contemptuously and raised its chin proudly, as if its opponent was some unworthy farm horse. Feng Wu's thin horse even had a wounded right front hoof, but it completely ignored its opponent's attitude. You're such a mild-tempered little horse. Feng Wu patted its head and was amused. Horse racing was all about attitude, and Feng Wu's horse had already lost in that aspect. I'll call you Little Master from now on. How about that? Little Master couldn't be bothered to roll its eyes. It glanced at Feng Wu, lay back down, and yawned. It yawned. Right now. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. The crowd, on the other hand, was speechless. They were completely baffled by Feng Wu's choice. She had to have lost her mind to compete against Sapphiro with this scrawny, lame, and lazy horse. Sapphiro didn't find the race very fair like this either, so she frowned at Feng Wu. How about you change your horse? Feng Wu said confidently, Don't worry. My little master can definitely win. Sapphiro rolled her eyes and found her words to be nothing but hot air. If you can use this lazy horse to win against my Light Bolt, I'll give you all my wealth. Sapphiro found Feng Wu's claim outrageous. Feng Wu glanced at her. You mean it? Sapphiro patted her chest. Every word. Feng Wu said, Good, write it down. Hence, it was added to the contract. The Sinal Grassland believed in God Allah, whereas the Junwu Empire believed in the god of martial arts. Therefore, by burning the contract in front of both gods, no one was allowed to break their promise. Let's begin. Whoosh! Sapphiro's Light Bolt dashed off like a bolt of lightning as soon as it heard the whistle. But Feng Wu's little master, well, Feng Wu hadn't even climbed onto the horse yet. Hey, you've been lying there for a while already. Can you get up now? Feng Wu kicked the horse in the butt. The horse replied with a yawn. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Chapter 1664, Feng Wu the Despised. Chapter 1664, Feng Wu the Despised. Ha ha! The crowd burst into laughter. They laughed at what they were seeing. I told you, there's no way that Feng Wu can win this. Look at that horse Feng Wu chose. Does she know what she's doing? That's such a lazy horse. Lightbolt is so far ahead already, but Feng Wu's little master is still lying there. The name really suits it. Look, it's rolling its eyes at us. Does it think that we're too loud? I've never seen such a lazy horse before. Feng Wu's so going to lose. She doesn't stand a chance at all. Everyone was so sure that Feng Wu was going to lose. Whereas Feng Wu herself, she crouched down, crossed her arms, and looked at her little master in resignation. So, what will it take to make you stand up? Little master didn't respond. Feng Wu said, how about I give you 30% of the prize after I defeat Sapphiro? The horse remained unperturbed. Feng Wu said, 50% tops. Take it or leave it. Little master rolled its eyes and ignored her. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. You're such a greedy little thing. Even 50% can't persuade you. Huh? Feng Wu didn't keep her voice down when she talked to Little Master, so everyone there could hear what she said. They looked at her in utter bewilderment. Had she lost her mind? She was talking to the lazy horse about sharing the prize. Did she think that this horse could understand her? No. Did she think that she could actually win with this horse? She was out of her mind. Everyone deemed Feng Wu crazy. What was going on here was constantly being reported to all the big bosses. Chieftain Senil almost cracked up when he heard the news. Oh God, since when was this disappointing Sapphiro so lovely? It would be like slapping the Junwu Empire in the face. Emperor Wu was dumbfounded by the news. Seriously? Feng Wu had always made him proud, but why would she do such a stupid thing? He sat there, baffled, and didn't know how to react. All the officials there realized what had happened. They wanted to say something to ease the embarrassment, but it wasn't easy at all. Master Dugu frowned. What does Feng Wu think she's doing? Is she trying to humiliate Sapphiro by choosing a bad horse? Feng Yinfeng frowned as well, but his first reaction was to put the blame on someone else. Feng Wu is unreasonable like that. She's always behaved that way. Unruly, conceited, and arrogant. I never could control her, so I removed her from my clan a while ago. From now on, no matter what trouble she makes, it doesn't concern my clan. Master Zhuo glanced at Feng Yinfeng. That was quick. If Feng Yinfeng had reacted any slower, Masters would have blamed it on him. However, Masters was still said, Master Feng, is that true? Why did I hear that Feng Wu is still listed as a member of your clan? Feng Yinfeng smiled wryly. We've been traveling, so it hasn't been easy to carry out the necessary procedure. After we return to the Imperial capital, I'll make sure that her name is removed. Chieftain Senil frowned. Even if Feng Wu loses the competition, surely it doesn't have to come to that. Feng Yinfeng shook his head. That girl is too good at making trouble. My clan has been incriminated by her over and over again. If we don't get rid of her, my clansmen won't live in peace. So, please don't try to tell me otherwise. The look on Emperor Wu's face kept changing, and no one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 1665, A Different Empress Dowager. Chapter 1665, A Different Empress Dowager. Feng Wu had no idea that her competition with Sapphiro had gotten everyone excited. While Sapphiro's light bolt had dashed off, Feng Wu's little master was still swaying its tail back and forth on the ground. Other people were anxious for Feng Wu, but Feng Wu herself didn't know what to do either. She sat down on the ground and looked at the horse in resignation. She then poked it in the head with a finger. Hey, aren't you spoiled? You actually can sleep at such a critical time? The horse opened its sleepy eyes with much difficulty. It glanced at Feng Wu before putting its chin back on the ground and going back to its nap. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. If the crowd had had a little expectation of Feng Wu at first, they were now completely full of despair. What should we do now? Lady Northern Feng asked anxiously. Is she really going to lose? Xiaoling stood right next to Lady Northern Feng. Having been with Feng Wu all these years, she knew Feng Wu better than anyone else, which was why she was still smiling. My lady, please don't worry. Miss Wu will win. Everyone had come out now, and Lady Northern Feng was with the Empress Dowager, who also heard what Xiaoling said. There were many noble ladies nearby, including Empress Dugu. Mrs. Wu said sarcastically, "Whose maid is that? What an arrogant statement. My lady, I'm Xiaoling, Miss Wu's maid." Other people would have been intimidated by Mrs. Wu's tone, but Feng Wu's maid wasn't just anybody. Xiaoling remained unperturbed when all eyes were on her. She then bowed to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager frowned at her. "Are you so confident that your mistress can win?" Xiaoling smiled. "Your Majesty, my mistress has never lost." Mrs. Wu suddenly chuckled. "She hasn't? Then how did she lose her cultivation ability and end up hiding in the border town?" Xiaoling's eyes flickered. Mrs. Wu knew perfectly well why Feng Wu lost her ability and ended up in northern border city, didn't she? Xiaoling was filled with hatred, but she remained very calm when she replied with a smile. "Mrs. Wu, may I ask who my mistress lost to?" Mrs. Wu was about to say that Feng Wu had been defeated by her daughter, Zhuo Qingwan. Her cultivation ability was destroyed, her master was taken away, and her future husband was stolen from her. However, Mrs. Wu was then reminded of the current situation. Feng Wu had regained her ability and was making rapid progress. His Royal Highness was treating her differently and protecting her. So did Feng Wu really lose? Mrs. Wu suddenly wasn't so confident anymore. She glared at Xiaoling. "Even your mistress doesn't dare to talk like that in front of us. How dare you behave so arrogantly? Do you have any respect for Her Majesty the Empress Dowager and Empress Dugu at all?" She then gave the order. "Take this girl out and kill her." Since the Empress Dowager and Empress Dugu didn't like Feng Wu, Mrs. Wu tried to punish her maid to curry favor with the two women. Lady Northern Feng was about to speak, but someone else spoke first. "Mrs. Wu, I see that you're making decisions for me now." The Empress Dowager's cold voice came from a seat behind Mrs. Wu. Chapter 1666, Little Master. Chapter 1666, Little Master. "Mrs. Wu, are you making decisions for me now?" The Empress Dowager glanced at her and spoke slowly. Mrs. Wu could behave as arrogantly as she wanted in front of Feng Wu, but she was nothing compared with the Empress Dowager. Therefore, she immediately dropped to her knees and said timidly, "Your Majesty, I didn't mean that. I really didn't." The Empress Dowager snorted. Mrs. Wu prostrated on the ground and didn't dare utter another word. The Empress Dowager then slowly looked from Mrs. Wu to Xiaoling. "Do you really think that your mistress will win?" The Empress Dowager smirked. Xiaoling smiled, her bright eyes twinkling. "Your Majesty, my mistress has never lost." "What if she loses then?" The Empress Dowager snorted. Xiaoling looked confused. The Empress Dowager asked, "Do you want to make a bet with me?" Everyone was amazed by those words. Seriously? The Empress Dowager wanted to bet against a maid? That didn't seem to fit her status at all. What power did this young maid have to make the Empress Dowager want to do that? Even Empress Dugu studied Xiaoling and pondered, not to mention Mrs. Wu. "Well," Xiaoling scratched her head with a wry smile. "Well, Your Majesty, I don't have anything that I can bet with." The Empress Dowager waved her hand. "Use yourself, then." Xiaoling looked confused. So did everyone else. The Empress Dowager said, "If your mistress loses, you'll work for me. If she wins, I'll give her permission to stay close to me." Xiaoling asked, "Your Majesty, do you mean that?" The Empress Dowager snorted. "I always keep my word." "What? Are you afraid?" Xiaoling nodded. "All right, I'll take that bet." Mrs. Dugu laughed. Chioling, you better think it through. Your mistress's horse is still sleeping on the ground. Immediately, all the other noble ladies laughed. Mrs. Wood chuckled. Dear sister-in-law, haven't you realized it? If someone can work for Her Majesty, why would they want to stay with Feng Wu? Chioling can't wait to see Feng Wu lose. Am I right, Chioling? Immediately, everyone else laughed loudly. Chioling was so angry and wanted to lash out, but since her mistress wasn't here, she had to control her temper. My mistress is going to win, and you'll all regret this. Oomph. Chioling rested her hands on her waist. Mrs. Wu said, Right, with her horse that hasn't gotten up yet. I'm sure she'll win. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Feng Wu, the one who was being laughed at, was watching the horse she chose in resignation. Hey, are you really not going? Little Master ignored her. Get up now, or I'm really going to be angry. Feng Wu rose to her feet and rested her hands on her waist. Little Master flipped its tail. Feng Wu heaved a long sigh. 55%. How about I give you 55%? What's that look on your face? 55% is the most I can give you. Don't tell me you want 60%. Chapter 1667. No surprise. Chapter 1667. No surprise. Little Master glanced at Feng Wu and snorted. Its eyes seemed to be telling her, without me, you won't even have 10%, let alone 40%. Feng Wu stomped her foot in frustration. You're doing this because the race doesn't allow me to change horses, aren't you? You sneaky horse. You're unbelievable. Little Master flipped its tail again. Meanwhile, the crowd all gave Feng Wu strange looks. Had this person lost her mind? Everyone knew that the horse was bound to lose, so why was she discussing with the horse how to split the reward? But Feng Wu didn't care what these people thought, because Little Phoenix had told her confidently that this horse was amazing. It was more than just amazing. It was the only blood sea horse left on the continent. Once it picked up speed, it was swifter than the wind. Only a handful of beasts could catch up with it, not to mention humans. Feng Wu silently vented her sarcasm. Why is this Little Master so difficult? Little Phoenix rolled his eyes. A legendary horse comes with a temper. Of course it won't be that easy to tame. Feng Wu gave it some thought and agreed. I'll give you 70%. She stared at the horse. The horse snorted. Feng Wu said, Hey, I'm willing to give you 70%. Is that not enough? The horse turned its head. Feng Wu said, 80% then. Hey, be considerate. If you won't accept it, forget it. Neither of us will get anything. The horse reluctantly agreed to the 20-80 ratio. It slowly stood up, yawned, and set off. Hey, I'm not on your back yet. Feng Wu leapt up and swiftly landed on the horse's back. The horse moved very fast, and Feng Wu had almost missed it. At the last moment, Feng Wu put one foot through the stirrup to keep herself on the horse. That was a very dangerous move. Before everyone else realized it, the horse had disappeared out of sight. It ran so fast that it left an afterimage in the air. The crowd was astonished. It's so fast. Gosh, is that real? Isn't it a sick horse? Why is it so fast? It looked like it was flying. Sapphiro is a long way off already. Feng Wu won't be able to catch up with her. Will she? I don't think so. If they had been very confident that Sapphiro was going to win at first, they didn't feel so sure anymore when they saw how fast the horse could run. The Empress Dowager and the other ladies weren't very far away, so they soon heard about it. Mrs. Dugu and Mrs. Wu looked at each other and frowned. Every time they thought that Feng Wu was finished, she would make a comeback to surprise them. How annoying. However, Princess Sapphiro started out a long time ago, and Feng Wu only just set off. She can't catch up with the princess. Mrs. Wu shook her head. Mrs. Dugu nodded. The result won't be a surprise. Feng Wu is definitely going to lose. Lady Northern Feng frowned and sounded displeased when she asked, Mrs. Wu, are you a member of the Junwu Empire? Chapter 1668, Face Slapping, Round 1-1. Chapter 1668, Face Slapping, Round 1-1. Lady Northern Fong frowned and sounded displeased when she asked, Mrs. Wu, are you a member of the Junwu Empire? Mrs. Wu nodded. Of course I am. Lady Northern Fong snorted. If that's the case, why do you want Princess Sapphiro of the Senile Grassland to win? Mrs. Wu, that can be considered treason. Surprised, Mrs. Wu immediately retorted, My lady, you're framing me? She then dropped to her knees. Your Majesty, However, before Mrs. Wu could go on, the Empress Dowager cut her off with a wave of her hand. There's no need to say more. I know what you meant. What? Mrs. Wu was baffled. What did the Empress Dowager know? Did she believe her or not? Feng Wu had no idea that so many people were talking about her behind her back. To her, the most important thing right now was to catch up with Sapphiro. After closing the 20-80 deal, the Bloodsea horse immediately picked up speed. Whoosh! Feng Wu saw the trees on both sides quickly fall behind like afterimages, the scene changing so rapidly that it made her dizzy. Several times, she was almost swept off the horse by tree branches. Luckily, she reacted quickly to avoid them every single time. Somewhere ahead of Feng Wu, Sapphiro rode the horse at ease with a satisfied smile on her face. She had never considered the possibility of losing from the very beginning. One could even say that she had never considered Feng Wu a worthy opponent. Sapphiro looked behind her when she was up on a hill, and she almost laughed. Gosh, how long has it been since I started already? Feng Wu's horse still isn't moving. Sapphiro giggled and threw her head back. She patted Light Bolt and said, This is so hilarious. I'm almost halfway through when she hasn't even started. Feng Wu, you're definitely going to lose. Thinking about the final outcome made Sapphiro want to laugh. Once she won, Feng Wu would never be allowed to like Jun Linyuan again. She should have used the time to reach the end point, but she was too pleased with herself that she forgot what she should be doing. Seeing that Feng Wu's horse was still lying on the ground, Sapphiro let her guard down. Instead of speeding up, she slowed down to a stroll. Light Bolt was tired from running, so it walked unhurriedly, flicking its tail. Sitting on the back of the horse, Sapphiro chatted with Light Bolt in boredom. Light Bolt, we won this time not because we're too awesome. Our opponent is just too weak. That's why you can't be proud of yourself, okay? Because it's not very likely that we'll ever run into such a stupid opponent again. What? You're hungry? Well, our opponent hasn't started yet, so we have all the time in the world. Come, let's go relax in a cool place. We'll set out again after the hottest time of day is over. The sun may burn my fair skin. Sapphiro did just that. She found a big tree with lush foliage and tied Light Bolt to it. The next second, she leaned back against the trunk, found a comfortable position, and took a nap. She was in the habit of taking an afternoon nap. If she didn't, she feared that it would affect her impeccable skin. Chapter 1669, Face Slapping, Round 1-2. Chapter 1669, Face Slapping, Round 1-2. Sapphiro was dozing off when she heard the sound of hooves. She tapped Light Bolt's hoof. Stop running. You're too loud. All of a sudden, she bolted up in astonishment. This wasn't right. Light Bolt's reins were tied to the tree. Why was there the sound of a galloping horse? Turning around, Sapphiro saw that Light Bolt was indeed standing in place. However, it had turned in the direction they had come with an alarmed look in its eyes. Even the horse felt that something was off. She suddenly grew uneasy and jumped up. Just like Light Bolt, she looked in the same direction. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The sound grew closer and closer. And it was almost here. A horse flashed through the trees, and Sapphiro couldn't see who it was through all the branches. That horse! Sapphiro's heart sank. No, it couldn't be. That horse ran like a bolt of lightning. No, it was even faster than Light Bolt. There was no way that it was Feng Wu's lazy horse. Sapphiro patted her own head in resignation. She assumed it was an impressive horse which lived in the woods and had just decided to show itself. She chided herself for being so suspicious, thinking that it could be Feng Wu's horse. However, before she could feel relieved, the smile froze on her face. That was because She finally saw the horse. Even if she couldn't recognize the horse, she had to recognize Feng Wu, whom she had been having a hard time dealing with. "It's you." When Sapphiro saw Feng Wu holding the reins on the back of the horse, she almost forgot to breathe. How could this happen? How is this even possible? How could it be her? "You." Sapphiro pointed at Feng Wu and was utterly shocked. Feng Wu rode the horse as fast as a gust of wind and swiftly ran past Sapphiro. She didn't even look at her the entire time. Sapphiro was so furious that she thought she was going to lose her mind. She would rather that Feng Wu laugh at her or mock her than ignore her, because that was humiliation of the greatest level. Running behind Feng Wu, Sapphiro yelled angrily, "Feng Wu, stop! Stop right now!" Feng Wu simply ignored her and rode away like a gust of wind. Sapphiro was speechless. Enraged, she didn't know what to say. "Nay!" Next to her, Lightbolt neighed. Only then did Sapphiro come back to herself. She had a horse as well. Without thinking, Sapphiro jumped onto the horse and struck it hard with her whip. "Lightbolt, quickly! Catch up with it!" Lightbolt had an aggressive look in its eyes. It would catch up with the other horse even if its master didn't give the order. It had never been humiliated like this before. Clip-clop, clip-clop. Sapphiro had chosen Lightbolt as her horse for a reason. When it picked up speed, it was indeed as fast as a streak of lightning. One would have a hard time following it with their eyes. Sapphiro was almost thrown off the horse. She gripped the reins and looked nervously ahead of her with contracted pupils. Feng Wu's horse had already turned into a small black. Chapter 1670, Face Slapping, Round 1-3. Chapter 1670, Face Slapping, Round 1-3. Run, run faster. Frustrated and infuriated, Sapphiro gripped the reins and kept urging Lightbolt. "Faster, faster. Why are you so slow?" Lightbolt was so angry that it wanted to give up. Who did she just call slow? In fact, it had never run this fast before. Lightbolt exhaled impatiently. Sapphiro snapped, "Stop whining. If you lose, I'll skin you and turn you in a horse meat stew." Anger and afraid, Lightbolt picked up speed again. With the sudden burst of energy, the distance between the two horses grew shorter and shorter. 1,000 meters, 800 meters, 500 meters. Sapphiro was finally appeased. But she was still frustrated. This Feng Wu really is a piece of work. Her horse is amazing, but she just had to pretend that it was useless. She fooled me. She then caught up with me and ran past me. What a schemer. Sapphiro clenched her fists and went scarlet in the face. "No, I can't lose. I absolutely can't. I can lose to anyone but Feng Wu. I would rather die than lose to someone as scheming as Feng Wu. Lightbolt, faster. Catch up with her." Lightbolt ran like there was no tomorrow. Because of its sudden burst of energy, Lightbolt's face twisted. It looked like its blood was boiling. Waving her whip, Sapphiro yelled, "Faster, faster. We only have 100 meters left. You'll soon catch up with her. Run." Lightbolt picked up speed again. Its blood capillaries burst and blood oozed out, painting it red. When Sapphiro touched the horse and saw the blood on her hand, she was shocked. How did Lightbolt? However, seeing that Feng Wu was right ahead of her, Sapphiro struck the horse with her whip again. Faster. Lightbolt was already reaching its limit. When the whip hit it, it flinched and nearly tripped. Luckily, it soon steadied itself and kept running. Sapphiro always kept her word. The horse knew that if it didn't win, she really would skin it and turn it into a stew. All the noise made Feng Wu look over her shoulder curiously, and what she saw made her frown. "Sapphiro, you're pushing too hard. Your horse is exhausted and you're still forcing it to speed up?" Seeing how casual Feng Wu and her horse were, Sapphiro was furious. She snorted and said, "It's none of your business." Feng Wu shrugged. "Fine, I won't meddle then. I'll just win." Sapphiro said. Feng Wu waved at her. "Come, follow me." Lightbolt was so exhausted that it was on the verge of collapsing. The endpoint was still an hour away, and Sapphiro knew very well that light bolt wouldn't make it. What should she do? Sapphiro racked her brain for a solution. Feng Wu rode casually. Right now, she and Sapphiro were almost neck to neck. Chapter 1671, Face Slapping, Round 2-1. Chapter 1671, Face Slapping, Round 2-1. However, Feng Wu's horse was full of energy and had no trouble maintaining its speed. Sapphiro's light bolt, on the other hand, was bleeding and pushing its limits. One horse was full of energy, while the other one was almost exhausted. It didn't take a genius to predict what was going to happen. Do you think you're going to win? In your dreams. Seeing how unhurried Feng Wu was, Sapphiro was furious. She threw a dirty look at Feng Wu. Feng Wu only shrugged at her. The more unperturbed she was, the angrier Sapphiro got. She thought she was definitely going to win at first, and she had been so much faster than Feng Wu. This competition should never have been an issue. Yet, despite all the should-haves, it was Feng Wu who was winning. How did this even happen? Sapphiro was filled with rage and frustration. Suddenly, something flickered in her eyes. She then leapt up and pounced at Feng Wu from behind in a frantic manner. Meanwhile, something glinted between her fingers. It was a secret blade. Die! Sapphiro bellowed. Throwing her right arm around Feng Wu's neck, she dragged the blade across it. She was going to kill Feng Wu and take her horse. Feng Wu was now a level 3 spiritual elder and 1 level below Sapphiro, which was quite a huge difference. Therefore, Feng Wu in fact wasn't as capable as Sapphiro. Moreover, Sapphiro had attacked her unexpectedly. Feng Wu had anticipated Sapphiro's attack, but she hadn't known that Sapphiro knew assassination techniques. And she was an expert at it. That was why Sapphiro had surprised her by grabbing her neck. However, Feng Wu was known for her ability to resolve a crisis. The moment Sapphiro threw her arm around her neck, Feng Wu kicked the side of the horse and used the force to leap up. Meanwhile, she grabbed Sapphiro's fist with her right hand. At that critical moment, Feng Wu used all her strength. SSSS. No one could recognize vital points as accurately as Feng Wu. When she pressed the spot between Sapphiro's thumb and index finger, Sapphiro felt her right wrist go numb, and she couldn't use that hand. Feng Wu's throat was right at her fingertips, but she didn't have the strength to cut it with the blade. This might be Sapphiro's best chance to kill Feng Wu in her entire life. When two capable people fought each other, the tiniest error could make a huge difference. Sapphiro shouldn't have given Feng Wu a chance, because Feng Wu would be able to strike back and turn things around. Just like now. In the brief moment when Sapphiro's hand went numb, Feng Wu grabbed her wrist and threw her over her shoulder. That wasn't important. The more important thing was that when Feng Wu did that, she used the blade hidden between Sapphiro's fingers to slide it across Sapphiro's neck. The glinting blade cut Sapphiro's throat. It was a thin blade, but the cut was very deep. After Feng Wu did that, she turned swiftly and moved away from Sapphiro. Feeling frustrated that she hadn't gotten the chance to kill Feng Wu, Sapphiro yelled angrily, "Feng Wu, you!" Chapter 1672, Face Slapping, Round 2-2. Chapter 1672, Face Slapping, Round 2-2. However, as soon as she spoke, Sapphiro realized that something was wrong. She felt a cool sensation on her neck, and it began to hurt. She touched it and felt something sticky on her fingers. She then smelled blood. When she saw her hand, she almost fainted. Blood, blood, blood. There's so much blood. Sapphiro went pale. She stared at Feng Wu with an astonished look in her eyes. She only felt the wound on her throat when she saw the blood. The fear of losing her life then overwhelmed her. It hurt. Sapphiro wanted to say something, but she then realized that she couldn't speak. She felt the cut on her throat, and her difficulty in breathing made her shake from head to toe. Clapping her hands, Feng Wu stood up and looked down at Sapphiro with a smile. Very impressive assassination skills. Sapphiro had almost gotten her. Sapphiro covered her throat, but the blood kept oozing out, and she couldn't stop it. Soon, the blood turned green. As time went by, the green turned darker until it was an inky green color. Sapphiro panicked and fumbled in her sleeves and pockets for something, but she just couldn't find it in her panic-stricken state. Antidote? Where's my antidote? Her blade was covered with poison, and, judging from how panicked she was, it had to be a lethal one. Sapphiro was so nervous that she threw everything in her sleeves and pockets on the ground. There was a mirror, a makeup box, a comb, and a bunch of other bits and bobs. With a wave of Sapphiro's hand, she pushed everything aside. Soon, she found a porcelain bottle the size of a finger. When Sapphiro saw the small bottle, she jumped at it as if seeing her savior. However, Foam had almost been killed by Sapphiro just then, so of course she wouldn't let that happen. With a wave of her sword, the small bottle flew through the air and rolled down the slope. Sapphiro stared at Foam Wu with hatred, as if she wanted to pierce Foam Wu with her bloodshot eyes. But Foam Wu only patted her hands clean and smiled casually. No matter how hard Sapphiro stared at Foam Wu, there was nothing she could do. She had to run after the bottle first. After all, the most important thing was to stay alive. The bottle rolled down the slope, at the end of which was a cliff. There was no time for Sapphiro to get it by foot, so she jumped off the horse and rolled down the slope. When she finally caught the bottle, half of her body was over the cliff. That was close. There was no time to open the bottle, so she crushed it and poured the white powder on the wound on her throat. Cough, cough. Because she was in such a hurry, Sapphiro took a deep breath and choked on the powder. She coughed so hard that she thought she was going to cough her lungs out. Phew! Sapphiro was finally relieved after using the antidote. Chapter 1673. Chapter 1673, Face Slapping, Round 2, 3. When Sapphiro stumbled up the slope, she looked up and saw that Foam Wu was still there. She was so furious that she almost collapsed. She glared at Foam Wu and said, "I'm going to kill you. I will. I swear it." However, Foam Wu only smiled. "Kill me? Are you sure?" Sapphiro smirked. "I'm going to kill you." Foam Wu shrugged. "If that's what you want." Just then, Sapphiro smirked. "Foam Wu, you shouldn't be so arrogant. If I were you, I would have run away by now." Foam Wu narrowed her eyes. "Is that so?" Just then, she heard footsteps in the quiet woods. They were as nimble as cats when they jumped from one tree to another. One could hardly hear them. But Foam Wu wasn't just anyone. She had sharp hearing, and her other senses were even more acute. She detected the danger immediately. "I see. An ambush." Foam Wu smiled a little and stared at Sapphiro. "That's why you're so confident." Sapphiro smirked. "Foam Wu, you just made a very big mistake." She was so pleased that she wanted to laugh, but she couldn't because of the wound on her throat. Instead, she snorted. "If you had killed me right away, I would never have had the chance to send the signal to summon them here. Because of your carelessness, I sent a distress signal when I rolled down the hill just then, and you didn't know a thing. You're so naive. You gave me the chance. I didn't plan to use it, but my oldest brother says that you're full of schemes, so it's better to be prepared. Foam Wu, I didn't expect you to force me to go to this extent. Go to hell." "Ha ha." Sapphiro was so pleased that she laughed loudly despite the wound on her neck. Her oldest brother? Foam Wu narrowed her eyes. She hadn't made a move against the man, but he wanted to kill her first. Frowning, Foam Wu looked around and felt alarmed. Whoosh! Suddenly, a glinting blade was thrown at Foam Wu through the thick leaves. It was as thin as the wing of a cicada and shone coldly in the sunlight. Whoosh! 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 Dozens of blades soon followed. They were so powerful. They blocked her way from all sides, and she couldn't escape. Ding! With a wave of her hand, Foam Wu drew out her Fallen Star sword and raised it to her chest. The second stance of Fallen Star swordplay, Dancing Dragon in the Moonlight, As Feng Wu named her stance, she moved together with her sword. Just like the name suggested, the sword looked as if it was dancing in moonlight, leaving behind afterimages. All Sapphiro could see were afterimages, and she couldn't see what was going on. And clinks were all she could hear. These are the secret guards trained by my oldest brother, and they're all amazing soldiers. Feng Wu is doomed. Sapphiro smiled as she applied an ointment on her wound. It was thanks to her scheming brother who had come up with this plan. Otherwise, she would have been killed by Feng Wu. However, when the mist dissipated and everything was clear again, Sapphiro was shocked by what she saw. Chapter 1674, Face Slapping, Round 2, 4. Chapter 1674, Face Slapping, Round 2, 4. How is that possible? Sapphiro stared at the scene with a look of disbelief in her eyes. She saw Feng Wu was standing proudly in the center of the battlefield. She raised her chin and looked as proud as ever as she stood there. The lower hem of her dress flapped in the wind, making her look like a goddess. When the sun shone on her, it looked like she had gathered together all the spiritual essence of the world. She was almost too resplendent to look at. There was no trace of blood on her, but 5 people had dropped to the ground in front of her. They were dressed from head to toe in black. They had black head coverings, black masks, and black clothes. Even the skin that wasn't covered had been painted black. They were the secret guards of the oldest prince of the senile grassland. But right now, they had all dropped dead, each with a blade between their eyebrows. Sapphiro had fought these men before. When the 5 guards attacked together, Sapphiro wasn't their match. She was forced to surrender every time, but these 5 were killed right after the fight started. How is that even possible? Feng Wu was a level below her. Sapphiro stared at Feng Wu, but Feng Wu paid no attention to her. Instead, she looked in the direction of an old tree. "Come out," she said coldly. As soon as Feng Wu said that, a man in black walked out from behind the thick tree. There was a cold look in his eyes, and he gave off an energy that seemed strong enough to kill a person. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and kept her unblinking gaze on the man. The man stared at Feng Wu as well. "I underestimated you." He reached behind his back and slowly drew out a black sword. Black smoke, which resembled a black snake, coiled around the sword. The murderous intent was so intimidating. Feng Wu could sense the energy coming off that black sword. Sapphiro looked from a man to Feng Wu, and she smirked. So, her brother had sent 7 here. 7 was much more capable than Sapphiro, who wasn't far off from Feng Wu in cultivation level. That was to say, 7 was far above Feng Wu. Feng Wu would not survive the day. When 7 drew out his sword, Sapphiro stepped back. Whoosh! 7 made his move. There was a flash of black light, and a circle with a 10-meter radius centered around 7, and Feng Wu appeared on the ground. Feng Wu saw that the circle was like a cage as a black wall trapped her and the man inside. Feng Wu kept stepping back until her back hit the black wall. Cold, murderous energy ran down her spine. It felt like a slithering black snake. How terrifying! Feng Wu immediately moved away from the wall to get away from the energy. However, she was more alarmed than ever. This man built this black wall with a single sweep of his sword. Exactly how capable was he? Seeing Feng Wu avoid the wall, Sapphiro smirked. "Feng Wu, you might be a genius and were able to defeat me, who's a level higher than you. But what about 7? He's a lot stronger than you. So just die." Chapter 1675, Face Slapping, Round 3, 1. Chapter 1675, Face Slapping, Round 3, 1. "Feng Wu, you should just die." There was a malicious look in Sapphiro's eyes. It was indeed as Sapphiro said. Right now, Feng Wu was facing the biggest crisis of her life. The man was so much more capable than she was, and he was going to kill her. "Are you going to do it? Or do I have to do it for you?" 7 frowned and gave Feng Wu a contemptuous look. He looked at Feng Wu as if he was just watching a spider climb onto a branch. Feng Wu smiled a little. What if I don't want to choose? Then I'll choose for you. Seven raised the black sword and swung it through the air. The strike actually cut through the air and seemed to stir the air currents. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. He's very powerful. Little Phoenix had never sounded so alarmed. Feng Wu nodded. You won't be able to fend him off. Little Phoenix sounded anxious. Feng Wu nodded again. Right now, we have no choice but to flee, said Little Phoenix. Flee? Feng Wu smiled bitterly. How is she going to do that? Just then, Seven struck again with his black sword. Immediately, a ferocious roar ripped through the air, and the sword charged at Feng Wu like a black rainbow. It was such a terrifying power. Holding her fallen star sword, Feng Wu yelled, the first dance of fallen star swordplay, sword of the other world. Immediately, there was a shower of falling blades. It then turned into a red rainbow, which blocked the black sword. Thump! There was the sound of a loud collision. After they crashed into each other, the black rainbow began to devour the red one at a tremendous speed. Shit! Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and her stomach lurched. In a matter of seconds, her red rainbow was devoured. It was so fast. Without thinking, Feng Wu raised her sword and performed the second strike. Dancing Dragon in the Moonlight. The second stance made Feng Wu invincible among her peers. However, when she performed Dancing Dragon in the Moonlight with her fallen star sword, there was a loud thump. The black rainbow smashed into it again. The first strike had indeed weakened the black rainbow's momentum, but it was so minimal that it was negligible. The black rainbow was thus able to crash into the dancing dragon before the stance was fully activated. Thump! The energy from the impact filled the air. Thump, thump, thump! Dancing Dragon in the Moonlight was devoured as Feng Wu watched. When the stance was interrupted, there was a backlash on Feng Wu. Without a shield to block the impact, Feng Wu took the hit full on. Thump! She flew backward and smashed into the black wall behind her. The impact was so terrifying. Feng Wu was only human. There was no way that she could withstand such power. Wretch! Feng Wu felt her blood boil when she smashed into the wall and blood poured out of her mouth. At that moment, Feng Wu felt as if she had been thrown into a meat grinder. The pain made her vision go dark, and she almost fainted. It hurt a lot. Feng Wu took a deep breath and forced the blood down her throat. But it didn't end there. When she hit the wall, the deadly black mist took advantage of her weakness and quickly seeped into her body. Chapter 1676, Face Slapping, Round 3-2. Chapter 1676, Face Slapping, Round 3-2. After the deadly mist entered her body, it turned into a strange energy and infiltrated her energy channels. It hurt a lot. Feng Wu fought back the pain and forced herself to stand up. Seeing that Feng Wu had almost passed out after one strike from Seven, Sapphiro couldn't contain the smile on her face. She murmured, Feng Wu, I'd like to see you survive this. She then gave Seven the order. Seven, kill her. Seven nodded. He didn't have to follow Sapphiro's order, but it happened to coincide with the order of the oldest prince. The prince's own words were that Feng Wu could live if Sapphiro won. If Feng Wu won, she had to die. Seven understood what the prince meant. If Feng Wu lost, it meant that she was only mediocre and a nobody. The prince wouldn't be bothered by a common girl. However, if Feng Wu could defeat Sapphiro despite being at a disadvantage, it meant that she was an extraordinary person. Since she didn't pledge loyalty to the prince, there was no need for her to live. At that thought, Seven held his black sword tighter. Kill her now, before she causes more trouble. She's too smart. Anything can happen. Sapphiro yelled at Seven. Seven stared at Feng Wu. Without another word, he marched toward her, holding the black sword. In a few seconds, he was in front of Feng Wu. Die! Seven raised his sword and struck down at Feng Wu. Feng Wu had put her hand on the wall, and her fingers flinched at that moment. The moment the sword struck down, she teleported to the other side of the circle. Thump. 7 didn't expect Feng Wu to have such a skill, and his sword smashed into the black wall. It made a tiny crack in the hard wall. However, as Feng Wu watched, the crack closed up as if it had never been there at all. What a shame! Sapphiro had thought that the strike would cut Feng Wu in half, but to her disappointment, Feng Wu successfully dodged it. But what difference does it make? Right now, you're like a turtle trapped in a vase. It's only a matter of time before you're dead. Sapphiro smirked. Huh, I like to see how many more times you can do that. She stared at Feng Wu. Meanwhile, Seven's eyes glinted. She had dodged his lethal attack. Very impressive. The prince was right. 7 had to kill her to avoid future complications. Dying. 7 ran after Feng Wu with the sword. With her injuries, Feng Wu couldn't move very fast, so 7 soon caught up with her. When 7 raised his black sword, the energy seemed to dim the sky. Die. The black sword struck down at Feng Wu's back. Feng Wu has to die now, right? Sapphiro was full of expectation. But she was disappointed again, because Feng Wu teleported again, back to her earlier spot. 7 missed his target again. Sapphiro was speechless. Chapter 1677, Face Slapping, Round 3-3. Chapter 1677, Face Slapping, Round 3-3. 7 didn't know what to say. Interesting. The indifferent look on 7's face changed. After Feng Wu evaded him twice, he became more serious. He and Sapphiro had thought that Feng Wu would be able to teleport once or twice at most, but to their surprise, she did it 6 times in a row. 6 times? How is that possible? Sapphiro was confused. 7 felt equally perplexed. As a matter of fact, Feng Wu didn't use to have such an ability, but when she searched her ring space, she realized with pleasant surprise that she had something valuable in it. Which was an unlimited teleportation card. Of course, it wasn't really unlimited. There was a maximum time of use. It was unlimited until the spiritual essence ran out. Teleportation was an escape skill, and every time she used it, she used a lot of spiritual essence. A regular person wouldn't be able to stand up after 1 teleportation, and Feng Wu was only able to do it 6 times because of her ring space. And she was almost drained after that. Feng Wu didn't have this card before, so where did it come from? Feng Wu was well aware that it was from Cat 9's cache. She had been too busy following Cat 9 then, and hadn't had the time to check everything. As it turned out, it contained an object that could save her life. The card was a treasure, but it was a one-off item. After she evaded being attacked 6 times, she saw the look on 7's face change. Sapphiro also had a solemn look on her face. 7, kill her now. Sapphiro didn't want any more complications, so she shouted at 7. She's very sneaky. Don't let her escape. 7 snorted. Escape? Was Sapphiro blind? He had activated his deadly black wall. People couldn't just escape from it. Seeing that Feng Wu was leaning on the black wall, panting and letting the black mist enter her body, he smiled maliciously. One last time, he raised his sword. Feng Wu panted and leaned weakly on the wall. Her legs were shaking from exhaustion. Would she be able to get away from him? 7 was confident that Feng Wu was going to die this time. His black sword moved as fast as a streak of lightning. The energy of the sword filled the space in the wall. Dying. 7 bellowed. The sword energy fused into the black wall, creating a terrifying light. The light then turned into countless dots that resembled tens of thousands of broken shards, which flew at Feng Wu. If Feng Wu was hit, she would be pierced 1,000 times. At that critical moment, break! Feng Wu uttered the spell. As the dots of light converged on her, she teleported one last time. She leapt out of the wall, and in the next second, she was on the back of the Blood Sea horse. The horse was very intelligent. It was usually proud and lazy, but in a critical moment like this, it was very obedient. Feng Wu didn't need to spur it before it bolted like a cannonball. Rumble. The sound of an explosion filled the space inside the black wall. 7 had used all his strength. After making the strike, he couldn't stop it. Chapter 1678, Face Slapping, Round 3-4. Chapter 1678, Face Slapping, Round 3-4. Thus, when he lost his target, the deadly black wall took the hit at full impact. And the wall was connected to his own energy. It was as if Seven had punched himself. Rumble. The wall collapsed, and Seven spat out a mouthful of blood from the backlash. If he hadn't used the black sword to support himself at the last moment, he would have dropped to his knees. How was that possible? Sapphiro's eyes widened in disbelief. How did that happen? She ran up to Seven and stared at him. Are you a pig? You're a spiritual lord. You're a whole stage above Fengwu. You should have killed her in one strike, but now, she's escaped. How stupid can you be? Seven was already very angry, and Sapphiro's contemptuous tone only made it worse. He couldn't control his frustration and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood covered Sapphiro's face and hair. God! Sapphiro's hair, face, and clothes were splattered with blood, and she was furious. She stomped her foot and yelled, I'm going to report this to my brother. I'm going to tell him that you're worse than a pig. Seven's face turned livid, and he couldn't stop trembling. Sapphiro stared at Seven. Didn't you say that your deadly black wall is invincible? And didn't you say that no one can escape from your wall? Sapphiro snorted. Do you see what's happened? Fengwu is a whole stage below you. Even she can escape from your wall. What's that wall good for? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Seven glared at Sapphiro with bloodshot eyes. Seven felt his heart bleeding when he saw the broken wall on the ground. He finally knew how Fengwu got away. The teleportations hadn't just been for dodging his attacks. She had another purpose. She had carefully chosen her teleportation spot each time. She had even made sure that his sword would land accurately. There were thus 6 cracks in the wall. Even though they closed up right away and couldn't be seen with the naked eye, as the creator of the wall, he knew very well that they were still there. The 6 strikes didn't show at first, but after the last strike, the cracks created a hexagram. As a master in formations, she was able to escape through a hexagram formation without alerting anyone. At that thought, Seven wanted to smack his own head for his stupidity. He had hacked open an escape route for her. No wonder Sapphiro called him a pig. He felt like a pig as well. No, even pigs were more clever. Seeing how he had frozen, Sapphiro bellowed. Why are you staring at me? If you want to lash out, go kill Fengwu. Bring me her head, and I'll kneel down and apologize to you. Seven didn't speak. He fought back the blood in his mouth, rose to his feet, and started walking. He dragged the sword behind him, creating a long furrow in the ground. He didn't seem to be walking very fast, but each of his steps took him 10 meters forward. He was indeed a spiritual lord. Would Fengwu be able to escape? Chapter 1679, Critical Moment 1. Chapter 1679, Critical Moment 1. He was a capable man and a spiritual lord. Would Fengwu be able to escape? Even Fengwu didn't know the answer. After she jumped onto the horse, it bolted at an unbelievable speed before she had time to react. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The trees on both sides quickly fell away. Fengwu felt as if she was flying. Run, run, run. Fengwu didn't run back. Instead, she was running forward because she still wanted to win the race. Sapphiro grew anxious when Fengwu escaped. While Seven went after Fengwu, Sapphiro thought that she could take her time and head for the finish line. She believed that she could win the competition even if she was on foot. That Fengwu. Seven, you have to kill Fengwu. Sapphiro clenched her fists and prayed in her head. The Bloodsea horse ran very fast, but had been sick for a long time, so it couldn't maintain its stamina. When Fengwu looked over her shoulder, she saw that Seven was chasing her. He wasn't walking very fast, but each step took him over 10 meters forward. He was closing in very quickly. 1,000 meters, 500 meters, 300 meters. He's catching us with us. Fengwu urged the horse on as she spoke to Little Phoenix. She was able to escape the black wall because Little Phoenix had given her instructions. Little Phoenix was worried sick. He's a spiritual lord, Someone too tough for you to fight against. You won't be able to withstand a single strike, said Little Phoenix. Feng Wu nodded. That was true. Inside the wall earlier, she could only run away from his attacks and wasn't able to fight back even once. Our only hope now is to run into the mountains, said Little Phoenix. Run into the mountains. That's our only chance. Out on this plain, we're sitting ducks. Feng Wu agreed. The horse also realized how critical the situation was and knew that they would all die if it was as lazy as before. Therefore, it ran as fast as it could. They were all in this together. Whoosh! The wind felt like blades on Feng Wu's cheeks. The tenser the atmosphere was, the calmer Feng Wu became. She knew better than anyone else that if she didn't do anything, he would catch up with her in less than 5 minutes. When that happened, he wouldn't be as careless as before. Feng Wu leaned down and whispered something in the horse's ear. The horse frowned and snorted at Feng Wu, but agreed with her. Feng Wu rubbed the horse's head and whispered, I'll give you a choice when this is over. You can choose to leave or stay with me. The horse grunted arrogantly. Feng Wu stuffed a few supreme-level pills in its mouth, rubbed its head, and said, Take care of yourself. They reached a corner at that moment. Feng Wu jumped off the horse and rolled into the thick growth of grass by the side of the road. She moved as fast as a streak of lightning without making a sound. But she left her robe on the horse, so from afar, it would look like she was still riding it. The Bloodsea horse picked up speed. It knew that the faster it ran, the further away it would lure the man, and the higher Feng Wu's chance of escaping. Chapter 1680, Critical Moment 2. Chapter 1680, Critical Moment 2. Soon, Seven walked past the bush which Feng Wu was hiding behind. Seven paused when he walked past it. Feng Wu held her knees and curled into a ball. She tried her best to slow down her breathing and her heartbeat. As expected, Seven didn't suspect much. He kept his gaze on the horse and ran after it. Phew! Feng Wu let out a breath of relief. Without hesitation, Feng Wu jumped to her feet and headed for the woods. The horse had lured the enemy away, but she couldn't abandon it. What's your plan? Little Phoenix asked anxiously. It wasn't as calm as Feng Wu was. Feng Wu said affirmatively, I have to save the horse. Little Phoenix stared at Feng Wu and was confused. Are you nuts? The horse finally lured the enemy away. Why are you trying to get yourself killed? Feng Wu said calmly. Do you think the horse can outrun that man? Little Phoenix shook its head. Feng Wu said, when Seven catches up with the horse and finds out that he's been fooled, do you think he won't take it out on the horse? Little Phoenix wanted to shake its head, but couldn't. Feng Wu said, the horse was ready to die for me. It realized this possibility, but it still agreed to my plan. Do you know why? Little Phoenix asked why. Feng Wu had never looked so serious. Because I told it that if it didn't stick to my plan, we would die together. But if it lured the enemy away, we could stall for a moment, and I promised that I would go back to save it. Little Phoenix said, but you... Feng Wu waved her hands. Are you trying to say that I can't even protect myself? Well, I admit that I'm not his match right now, and I can't even fend off one of his strikes. But someone else can handle him. Little Phoenix asked, but where is that person? Feng Wu remained calm and serious. She kept walking deeper into the mountains as she spoke with Little Phoenix. Can you sense a spiritual lord in these mountains? Feng Wu climbed onto a slope to look in the distance. She then narrowed her eyes. You want to mess with a spiritual lord creature? Little Phoenix almost jumped to its feet. Are you nuts? Feng Wu asked solemnly. Just tell me, can you find one or not? Little Phoenix said, when I snuck into the mountains to play, when you weren't looking, I indeed saw a spiritual lord creature. It was a chimpanzee, but... It then frowned and said, but that chimpanzee isn't friendly at all. I offended it, so I don't think it will help us. Feng Wu asked, what did you do? Little Phoenix hesitated before it said, the chimpanzee just had a baby, and it wanted to feed its child some honey, but I grabbed the honey and ran. Had it not been for its baby, it would have chased me all over the mountain. Little Phoenix smiled wryly. We have a few now. It'll want to skin me alive. I can't go looking for it. Feng Wu asked, which direction? Little Phoenix asked, what? Feng Wu asked, that chimpanzee's cave, where is it? Little Phoenix was shocked. Please don't tell me you're going to find it. Don't we have enough enemies already? Feng Wu smiled. So what? An enemy can be turned into a friend. Chapter 1681, Critical Moment 3. Chapter 1681, Critical Moment 3. Little Phoenix didn't know what to say. Turn an enemy into a friend? You're so naive. Don't you know how vindictive a chimpanzee can be? Why would it become your friend? Because you're pretty? Feng Wu asked, why not? Little Phoenix was speechless. Feng Wu asked the direction. Little Phoenix had no choice but to tell Feng Wu. It's in the northwest. Seeing Feng Wu run off in that direction without hesitation, Little Phoenix wanted to kill itself. It regretted its words, for it had only made things more complicated. The demon chimpanzee's cave was located in the core of the mountain, and it wasn't very close. But Feng Wu was all about saving the horse, so she moved very swiftly. In 15 minutes, she was almost at the cave. Is it here? She asked Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix was frustrated to see Feng Wu endanger her own life, but there was nothing it could do apart from give her a grumpy look. Feng Wu beamed at it. What's with that look on your face? Why do you think that I'll definitely lose? You're not just 1 or 2 levels weaker. That thing is an entire stage stronger than you. Plus, magical beasts are always stronger than humans at the same level. You can't even withstand that man's strike. This chimpanzee really will kill you. You're going to die. Feng Wu smiled. You've been with me for so long, and we've gone through so much danger together. Didn't everything turn out, or even though it seemed impossible at first? Little Phoenix said, but my master told me to protect you. If I don't do my job properly, LL. Feng Wu asked curiously, what will happen to you? Will you be skinned alive? Little Phoenix snorted. You have no imagination at all. Skinning is nothing in comparison. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Little Phoenix said, fine, I know I can't stop you. If you die, I'll die with you. Feng Wu chuckled. I'm like a cat. I have 9 lives. It won't be that easy to kill me. Plus, even if I have to die, I need to bring my beautiful master back first. Therefore, I cherish my life a lot more than you can imagine. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't confident about it. Little Phoenix said, I hope so. Feng Wu and Little Phoenix lay in wait outside the cave. The two of them searched the surrounding area, and Feng Wu came to a conclusion. This cave has 2 openings, one in the front and one at the back. She then said solemnly, I'll find a way to lure the demon chimpanzee away. You'll then take the opportunity to run inside, grab the little chimpanzee, and run away through the other opening. Little Phoenix frowned. Why am I stealing the little one? Feng Wu snapped her fingers. I have a plan. Just do it. Little Phoenix frowned and said, how about I lure the big one away, and you go steal the baby? Seeing that Feng Wu wanted to say no, it went on. For one, I can fly, so the demon chimpanzee can't do anything to me. For another, the demon chimpanzee holds a grudge against me, so it'll be easier for me to get its attention. Furthermore, I can die, but you can't, thought the bird. After some hesitation and consideration, Feng Wu finally said yes. As expected, Little Phoenix only showed its face and made a tiny noise before the demon chimpanzee crawled out of its cave. Feng Wu hid among the thick leaves and didn't dare make a sound. Little Phoenix threw a stone at it. Chapter 1682, Face Slapping, Round 4-1. Chapter 1682, Face Slapping, Round 4-1. The demon chimpanzee had always been very erratic, and it was immediately set off by Little Phoenix's provocation. Ha ha ha, you dumbass. Chase me, I dare you. Little Phoenix threw another stone at the demon chimpanzee. The chimpanzee was furious. It was a spiritual lord, but it had just been challenged by a petty flying thing that was a mere spiritual elder. This was unacceptable. Then, with a whooshing sound, Little Phoenix took off, flying as fast as it could. The demon chimpanzee smirked and ran after the bird. It was so furious that it didn't notice that a human teenage girl was hiding in the grass. Magical beasts were territorial animals, and the more powerful a beast was, the keener it was to guard its territory. The area within a 10 kilometers radius was all its territory, and no other magical beasts would dare come close. Therefore, the demon chimpanzee considered this cave to be quite safe. However, as soon as the chimpanzee dashed off, Feng Wu rushed into the cave as quickly as she could. Inside, a small demon chimpanzee studied Feng Wu with big black eyes that were filled with curiosity. "Hi." Feng Wu greeted it with a smile. The small demon chimpanzee smiled like a little angel. However, the look on its face changed when Feng Wu was close enough, and it tried to rip Feng Wu's throat open with its sharp claws. Mom, food." It then attacked Feng Wu, moving as fast as a streak of lightning. It was accurate and ferocious. Feng Wu had never expected a cub to be capable of doing such a thing. She slid away, dodging the small demon chimpanzee. She then moved to a spot behind it. Thump! She thought she could punch the cub in the head, but the cub was more capable than she had anticipated. It smiled maliciously. "Trap her!" Staring at a corner of the cave, the small demon chimpanzee gave the command. Feng Wu looked up, and her pupils contracted. On the ceiling of the cave was a giant spider web. The strings were resilient, shiny, and as sharp as blades. Hearing the small demon chimpanzee's command, the spider web fell down toward Feng Wu. "Ha ha ha!" The small demon chimpanzee smirked. The look on Feng Wu's face turned serious. The Bloodsea horse had lured 7 away, and Little Phoenix had caught the attention of the demon chimpanzee. Both of them were in grave danger, and their lives might be hanging in the balance. The least she could do was take care of this little chimpanzee. One of her sleeves suddenly stretched out. It then wrapped around the chimpanzee's ankle and dragged it toward the entrance. The cub was used to doing whatever it wanted in its mother's territory. It would eat whatever magical beasts it wanted and destroy anything it felt like. Its good days were over, now that it had met Feng Wu. As Feng Wu was dragging it toward the opening of the cave, the spider web fell down toward her. "Catch her!" Infuriated, the cub yelled at the demon spider. "No problem, young master," said the demon spider in excitement. Unfortunately, they had underestimated Feng Wu's speed. The moment the spider web fell, Feng Wu dashed forward as fast as she could. Whoosh! The spider web just happened to miss her. Instead, it fell on top of the small chimpanzee. Chapter 1683, Face Slapping, Round 4-2. Chapter 1683, Face Slapping, Round 4-2. "You idiot!" The small chimpanzee rolled around on the ground in frustration. Fearing that it may cause more trouble, Feng Wu struck and stuffed the demon spider into the cub's mouth. Arg! The small chimpanzee shook from head to toe in rage. The spider was so disgusting that it wanted to puke. This abominable human girl would pay for this. "My mom will eat you when she gets back." The cub jumped around and screamed furiously. Feng Wu frowned. The cub had to have some special way to contact its mother. If its cries really could bring the demon chimpanzee back, she would be in a lot of trouble. So she picked up a stone and smashed it down on the cub's head. Thump! Poor little demon. The impact immediately rendered it unconscious. Finally, everything was quiet again. Feng Wu let out a breath of relief before she contacted Little Phoenix. As soon as she called it, she heard the bird scream. "How are you doing over there?" Feng Wu asked anxiously. Little Phoenix said, This demon chimpanzee is the worst. Although it can't fly, it's really good at throwing things. It's been throwing all sorts of things at me. When it can't find anything to throw, it pulls off its hair to hurl at me. And they're like needles. Ouch, that hurts. It's anything but stupid. It's been shooting at my wings. Gosh, I can't hold on for much longer. Little Phoenix complained loudly. Feng Wu was a little relieved, for the bird wasn't severely injured. She immediately asked, "Where's the horse?" Because she didn't have a bond with the horse yet, she couldn't sense its presence. Little Phoenix, on the other hand, had an ability to sense other animals. "It's in the northwest. Just head for the west." "Arg, my wing. The hare stabbed me again." The poor bird whined, and it seemed to be in grave danger. After all, it was only a spiritual elder, and the magical beast was a spiritual lord. No matter how talented the bird was, it wouldn't be able to get away. "I've already caught the chimpanzee cub. Lead the big one in my direction." Luckily, they weren't too far apart, so Feng Wu and Little Phoenix could communicate with their minds. Little Phoenix had indeed almost been cornered by the demon chimpanzee, who was now sneering at the bird. Countless hairs were stuck to Little Phoenix's wings, and it was covered in blood. It landed on a tree branch and panted, and felt like it would collapse at any moment. The beast cornered Little Phoenix in a valley before it smirked and slowly approached the bird. "Ha ha!" The demon chimpanzee laughed. "You're a mere spiritual elder, but you showed so much strength. I see that you're from a special bloodline. Maybe you're even one of the sacred magical beasts." Little Phoenix snorted inwardly. "A sacred magical beast? I'm a divine one. I bet you're very nutritious. I may have a breakthrough after I eat you." "Ha ha!" The demon chimpanzee looked excited as it walked toward Little Phoenix. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Little Phoenix counted in its head. Chapter 1684, Face Slapping, Round 4-3. Chapter 1684, Face Slapping, Round 4-3. The bird didn't forget about the small demon chimpanzee, but it had to time it correctly. If it told the demon chimpanzee too early, the latter would go after Feng Wu and might catch up with her. So, the bird decided that it had to stall. Little Phoenix looked panic-stricken as it said, "Hey, I'm not some sacred beast. I'm a stinky one. Eat me, and you'll become very stinky. Not only will you lose all your cultivation ability, you'll be cursed as well." The demon chimpanzee laughed. "Really? What curse would that be?" It was standing in front of Little Phoenix now, and its giant shadow covered Little Phoenix completely. It then picked Little Phoenix up and opened its mouth. It was going to eat the bird whole. Little Phoenix realized that it couldn't stall any longer. "Hey, aren't you worried about your baby?" Little Phoenix gave it a half-smile. The demon chimpanzee suddenly froze. Little Phoenix smirked. "Did you never wonder why I provoke you out of the blue?" The demon chimpanzee stiffened. Little Phoenix said, "I have to have a death wish to simply challenge you when I know that I'm not your match." The demon chimpanzee was speechless. Little Phoenix said, "So, you really didn't notice that human hidden in the bushes when I lured you out?" The demon chimpanzee's face twisted, and it glared at Little Phoenix. "I'm going to eat you." Little Phoenix said, "Go ahead, but I have a special farting ability." "Huh? Did you think I was making up that stinky smell? After you eat me, you'll have a stomachache. Who will save your baby then? Someone might be skinning it alive, even as we speak." The demon chimpanzee was shocked. It tossed Little Phoenix away like a piece of garbage. After that, it ran back toward its cave as fast as it could. It realized that something had gone terribly wrong when it arrived. There were signs of fighting, and even the demon spider, which it had brought back for the baby's cradle, was gone. Roar! It pounded its chest in frustration. "My baby, where are you?" Luckily, it didn't lose its head. Immediately, it dashed off to look for its baby. The small demon chimpanzee was still nursing, so the demon chimpanzee was able to follow the scent of the milk. After narrowly escaping death, Little Phoenix lay on a rock and was too exhausted to move a muscle. "Little Feng Wu, I've done everything I can. You have to stay alive." Little Phoenix had no confidence in Feng Wu's survival at all. After all, Feng Wu was being chased by a spiritual lord assassin and a spiritual lord demon chimpanzee at the same time. How could she possibly survive that? Meanwhile, Feng Wu was running as fast as she could. She knew that she was facing an impossible situation, but that only made her want to fight harder. She would become an amazing cultivator, but she just needed more time. The wind howled in her eyes as she flitted past the trees, stones, bushes, and creeks. Chapter 1685, Face Slapping, Round 4-4. Chapter 1685, Face Slapping, Round 4-4. Obstacles kept appearing in Feng Wu's path, but she didn't change her route and made a beeline for 7. The Bloodsea horse wouldn't last much longer. Thump, thump, thump. The ground shook. Feng Wu turned around and almost froze. It was the demon chimpanzee. It was so fast. The beast charged at her like a cannonball. It was a small black dot at first, but in a matter of seconds, she could see that it was the demon chimpanzee. Shit, run. She could clearly sense the beast's murderous intent. Its baby had just been snatched. As a mother, it was only natural that it was furious. Feng Wu picked up speed. When she saw the demon chimpanzee, it saw her as well. It even spotted the small demon chimpanzee on Feng Wu's shoulder. Its baby. Right now, the cub was curled up and not moving at all. The demon chimpanzee didn't know if its baby was still alive. Damn you, human. Damn you. The demon chimpanzee almost exploded. How dare she touch its baby? It swore that when it caught the human girl, it would skin her and roast her meat. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The demon chimpanzee yelled in frustration. The angrier it was, the faster it moved. Arg! Feng Wu grew anxious. The demon chimpanzee was moving even faster than she had anticipated. This wouldn't do. Feng Wu then found a mountain blocking her way. It had a stunning cliff that was perpendicular to the ground. It looked as if a giant blade had slashed the mountain open, and the wall was as smooth as a mirror. There was no time to run around it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Feng Wu picked up a handful of small stones, and she threw them at the cliff. She did so as she ran toward the cliff. She made sure that there was a stone buried in the wall every dozen meters or so. Stepping onto the protruding stones, she ran all the way up the cliff. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When the stones were used up, she was standing on the top of the cliff. Turning around, she saw that the demon chimpanzee was already down below. Roar! It bellowed at Feng Wu. That abominable human. Feng Wu made faces at the demon chimpanzee. Haha, catch me if you can. She knew that with the demon chimpanzee's size, there was no way that it could climb up using her stones. It was just too huge. Don't you want her baby? It's right here. Come and get it. Resting her hands on her waist, Feng Wu jumped around. Damn it! Looking up, the demon chimpanzee saw the small stones and was frustrated. It indeed couldn't climb up, but could try something else. Although it wasn't as nimble as Feng Wu, it was physically much stronger. At that thought, the demon chimpanzee retreated several hundred meters away. Standing on the cliff, Feng Wu looked confused. What was the demon chimpanzee doing? Soon, she knew the answer. The demon chimpanzee stopped when it was 300 meters away before it charged forward again, picking up speed as it ran. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Wait, was that even possible? That demon chimpanzee wanted to knock down the cliff. It indeed wasn't attached to the rest of the mountain, but that was such a stupid choice. Rumble. Chapter 1686, Face Slapping, Round 4-5. Chapter 1686, Face Slapping, Round 4-5. Feng Wu was still wondering when the demon chimpanzee's giant body smashed into the cliff. The cliff was 1,000 meters tall, while the demon chimpanzee was only 30 meters tall. That was a huge difference. However, boom, Feng Wu felt a tremor throughout her body when the beast smashed into the cliff. Her blood seemed to boil, and she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. How terrifying this power was. Was this the true capability of a spiritual lord? It seemed that she had underestimated the beast's terrifying power. The impact created a huge crack in the cliff. Feng Wu saw it and knew that this was bad news. If she had been down there, she could have climbed up along that crack, which would be an easy feat. However, the demon chimpanzee didn't realize that it had created a path up the cliff. It backed away again before it charged forward. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Although the cliff was quite sturdy, it wouldn't be able to withstand repeated smashing. 2 more times, and the cliff would collapse. How terrifying! How terrifying a spiritual lord could be. Feng Wu knew that if it caught up with her, she would be dead. At that thought, Feng Wu ran down the other side of the cliff. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. She gritted her teeth and kept running. Run, run, run. Quickly. This was more dangerous than any situation she had ever faced before. She hadn't run very far before she heard a loud, smashing sound behind her. Turning around, she saw the tall cliff collapse. That demon chimpanzee was so terrifying. It had crushed a cliff with sheer force. How frightening! Rocks fell down, covering the demon chimpanzee. But the beast soon crawled out from under them. It was covered with dust and had many scratches. Its glossy black fur was also filthy, but its eyes were bloodshot red with hatred. Damn you, human! After knocking the cliff over with its sheer strength, the demon chimpanzee bellowed angrily. It ran after Feng Wu. Despite the wounds, it ran even faster. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Just then, the small demon chimpanzee that was on Feng Wu's shoulder woke up and opened its eyes. When it saw its mother running after them, it was thrilled. The small demon chimpanzee shouted, "Roar!" The demon chimpanzee replied with a roar. The small demon chimpanzee said, "Ah." The demon chimpanzee replied with a roar. Hearing how excitedly the mother and son howled at each other, Feng Wu was speechless. She smacked the small demon chimpanzee. The small demon chimpanzee tried to bite Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, "Can you stop yelling?" The small demon chimpanzee only grunted. Feng Wu said, "Here's something yummy. Eat it and stop yelling. Make another sound, and I'll smack you until you're unconscious." She then gave the small demon chimpanzee some moon fish, which she had put away. On their way here to the senile grassland, Feng Wu happened to catch quite a few of the fish. She had planned to sell them here, but had never gotten around to it. She could only hope that the chimpanzee ate fish. Chapter 1687, Face Slapping, Round 4-6. Chapter 1687, Face Slapping, Round 4-6. To Feng Wu's satisfaction, the cub stopped howling after she gave it the fish. It then ate quietly. While the demon chimpanzee was still bellowing, the small demon chimpanzee was all about eating the moonfish. Up ahead, a wide river blocked her way. The current was very fast, and there was no sign of any living creatures. One look and Feng Wu knew that it was bad news. This could only suggest one thing. There were undercurrents and a whirlpool in the water. Otherwise, the river would have some living creatures in it. However, turning around, Feng Wu saw that the demon chimpanzee was closing in and was only 200 meters away. She would be doomed if she didn't jump into the river. Without thinking, Feng Wu jumped into the river. The small demon chimpanzee didn't know how to swim, so it started struggling as soon as it hit the water. Feng Wu was a great swimmer, but even she was almost carried into the black whirlpool by the undercurrents. The demon chimpanzee saw the human jump into the water and was furious. Immediately, it bellowed in frustration. Roar! Crying, the small demon chimpanzee reached out toward the demon chimpanzee for help. The demon chimpanzee didn't know what to do. It had always lived on land and had never gone into the water. But if it didn't go after the human, what about its baby? Driven by its motherly instinct, the demon chimpanzee stepped into the water. Feng Wu had thought that the undercurrents and whirlpool would hinder the beast for a while, but she had forgotten something. The river was only 20 meters deep, but the demon chimpanzee was 30 meters tall. When it stepped into the river, the water only reached its waist. The demon chimpanzee had thought that it was doomed, but it was baffled when it saw that the water only reached its waist. It was then elated. Only Feng Wu could describe how frustrated she was. "Swim! Faster!" She had tied the cub to her waist while she swam as fast as she could. With her keen senses, she was able to dodge the black whirlpools and undercurrents. Even so, she had visibly slowed down. But the demon chimpanzee didn't have any of those problems. Undercurrents? How could they possibly affect a creature that had just knocked down a cliff? Whirlpool. It was too small to suck in the 30-meter-tall demon chimpanzee. The demon chimpanzee flattened the whirlpool with 1 foot. It was unstoppable. It would stop at nothing. It would walk across the river. That was what the giant chimpanzee was doing. Feng Wu was shocked. Seeing that the demon chimpanzee was catching up with her, she was almost in tears. 300 meters. 200 meters. 100 meters. 50 meters. The distance between them grew smaller and smaller. Feng Wu knew that if she didn't come up with an idea in the next 30 seconds, she would be caught. She knew very well how much the demon chimpanzee hated her. So what should we do? Feng Wu was worried sick, but at that moment, she saw a layer of something black over the surface of the river ahead of her, and it gave her the creeps. Chapter 1688, Face Slapping, Round 4-7. Chapter 1688, Face Slapping, Round 4-7. What the hell was that? Feng Wu moved closer and saw that they were river wasps. Or river wasps. Other people might not know, but Feng Wu was an avid reader with a very good memory, so she recognized them. The only difference between river wasps and regular ones was that they lived in rivers. Otherwise, the two of them were pretty much the same. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She had figured out a way to handle the demon chimpanzee. Luck was indeed on her side, but where was the river wasp's hive? For her plan to work, she had to find it first. Generally speaking, the hive was the most important thing to the river wasps, and it was also where their queen lived. Therefore, it should be located in the most ideal spot. Feng Wu then looked to the southeast. A willow tree stood there, and on it, a black ball the size of a hat swayed in the wind. Feng Wu smiled. Great! Her luck was finally going to turn around. Roar! The demon chimpanzee moved closer and closer. 50 meters, 30 meters. It opened its mouth and was ready to bite Feng Wu. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. Grabbing the spider web with the small demon chimpanzee in it, Feng Wu hurled it at the river wasp's hive. Before the cub knew what was happening, the hive was flying back toward Feng Wu. When the hive flew past Feng Wu's head, she made her move. Her fingers twitched, and there was a tiny flame. Meanwhile, she spun around and kicked the hive. It then flew into the demon chimpanzee's mouth. It might sound like a lot, but the whole thing took less than a second. Thus, apart from Feng Wu, no one else realized what had happened. When they did, the hive was already in the demon chimpanzee's mouth. The demon chimpanzee didn't know what to say because it had just swallowed a burning wasp hive. The cub was too busy eating the fish to care about anything else. The wasps were astonished because their queen had just been eaten. Oh no, this was where the river wasps lived. And there were tens or even hundreds of thousands of river wasps here. There were no undercurrents or whirlpools in this part of the river, which was why the wasps had settled down here. It had never occurred to them that such a thing would happen. Rumble. The river wasp shrilled. Feng Wu realized that something was about to happen. Shit, they were about to get their revenge. Feng Wu was in front of the demon chimpanzee, so she would become the river wasp's first target. However, she wouldn't just stand there and let the wasp sting her. Therefore, when the swarm of wasps charged at her, Feng Wu dove into the river until she was fully submerged. Water gushed into the small demon chimpanzee's mouth, but Feng Wu couldn't help it right now. She swam as fast as she could. Disaster befell the demon chimpanzee. It was completely baffled. With its giant mouth, swallowing a wasp hive wasn't a problem for it at all. Chapter 1689, Face Slapping, Round 4-8. Chapter 1689, Face Slapping, Round 4-8. It had swallowed the hive as soon as it was in its mouth. It was as easy as a human swallowing a pill, and the hive was only a little hotter than was normal. The chimpanzee didn't think much of it at all. However, when hundreds of thousands of wasps flew toward it, the demon chimpanzee finally panicked. It finally realized that the abominable human had just fed the hive to it. Damn it! Its eyes went bloodshot red, and it wanted to catch Feng Wu and skin her alive. It finally understood why that human girl dove into the river. She had it all planned out, but it couldn't tell the river wasps that this was the human girl's plan and have the wasps get their revenge on the girl. The river wasps would never believe it. The demon chimpanzee was so frustrated that it almost lost his mind. It also wanted to dive into the river like that human girl, but it realized in frustration that even if it laid down on its back, its belly was still above the surface because it was simply too enormous. Feng Wu swam as hard as she could and only resurfaced after she was a few hundred meters away. She could hold her breath for longer, but the small demon chimpanzee couldn't. It was almost unconscious by now. When Feng Wu picked up the small demon chimpanzee from her belt, the cub was barely breathing. Luckily, they weren't very far away from the bank. Grabbing the cub, Feng Wu swam as fast as she could. She was almost exhausted when she reached the shore, but she still tossed the cub onto the bank first before she slowly climbed out of the river. Feng Wu looked back when she was ashore and saw that the demon chimpanzee was indeed surrounded by the river wasps. The demon chimpanzee was indeed an invincible spiritual lord. But the river wasps were numerous and everywhere. Feng Wu believed that the demon chimpanzee would rather fight another spiritual lord than be surrounded by the river wasps. It couldn't chase them away, nor could it escape. It was trapped, and the wasps were stinging it all over its body. The feeling was unbearable. Feng Wu looked back at the small demon chimpanzee. It had drunk too much water, and its belly was very plump. It seemed to be in grave condition. She then looked at the demon chimpanzee, who was looking at its cub anxiously. It was a mother's natural instinct. Despite its rage, it gave Feng Wu a pleading look. It was begging Feng Wu to save its child. Feng Wu heaved a sigh. Although she didn't have much time, the cub was innocent, and Feng Wu had never meant to hurt the little guy. Fine, she would save the cub. She quickly pressed the small demon chimpanzee's plump belly. 1, 2, 3 times. The small demon chimpanzee spat out a large mouthful of water. Turning around, Feng Wu saw that the demon chimpanzee was swallowing the river wasps. Since it could neither chase them away nor escape, it simply opened its mouth and started eating them. Feng Wu admired it for its courage. Seeing that the demon chimpanzee would catch up with her soon, Feng Wu picked up the cub and started running. Whoosh, 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 quickly. Chapter 1690, Face Slapping, Round 4-9. Chapter 1690, Face Slapping, Round 4-9. She talked to Little Phoenix as she ran. After getting some rest on the rock, Little Phoenix's wounds had healed a little. It panted as it said, "I'm still alive, but if you want to save that horse, you need to move faster. It's been forced onto a cliff. I'm headed there myself. Hurry up." It then sent Feng Wu a map with a flickering red dot on it through its mind. It was where the horse was trapped. Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu nodded. "I'm only 5 minutes away. I'll be there soon." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. She then dashed off. With the small demon chimpanzee, the demon chimpanzee would definitely follow her. She ran past trees, rocks, bushes, and rivers. She didn't try to hide her tracks since there was no need to. She simply ran as fast as she could. The tracks she left behind would give the chimpanzee the direction to follow. Meanwhile, the demon chimpanzee, after it devoured about half of the river wasps, the rest were finally scared off by its imposing manner. The river wasps liked to pick on those that were weaker than them and were good at fighting as a group, but they couldn't withstand something as terrifying as the demon chimpanzee. Other creatures could become very frantic during a fight, but the demon chimpanzee was even worse. It ate its opponents. How horrible! Although the remaining river wasps fled in fear, the demon chimpanzee didn't exactly win the battle. The wasps had surrounded it earlier. They shouldn't have broken through its defense, but the demon chimpanzee was too proud. It had pulled its hair off earlier to shoot at little Phoenix. Sure, the hair would grow back, but it would still hurt the hair follicles. The demon chimpanzee's defense had been as seamless as steel armor before. Although the river wasps were numerous, they wouldn't be able to harm it if they couldn't breach its defense. But because of the damaged hair follicles, the demon chimpanzee was miserable. These river wasps were everywhere. They all crawled into its hair follicles. They then stung it together, and the demon chimpanzee didn't ever want to experience that prickly feeling again. Luckily, the river wasps finally retreated when the demon chimpanzee went berserk. Damn you! Damn you, human! The demon chimpanzee bellowed and rushed toward the riverbank. But Feng Wu and its child were nowhere to be found when it got there. Damn it, it roared. Infuriated, the demon chimpanzee lashed out. All the trees and stones by the river were smashed to pieces. But what choice did it have apart from going after Feng Wu? I'll cut you into little pieces and roast you when I catch you. I'll eat you piece by piece. The demon chimpanzee swore. What it didn't know was that the girl it wanted to grill had already set a trap for it to jump into. Feng Wu ran as fast as she could. The horse was very close. If she didn't get to it in time, everything would fall apart. Quickly, Feng Wu could see in her head that she was getting closer and closer to the red dot. Chapter 1691, Face Slapping, Round 5, 1. Chapter 1691, Face Slapping, Round 5, 1. She ran all the way to the cliff, and the horse was standing right on top of it. Looking down, the horse saw Feng Wu below, and its desperate eyes lit up. No matter if this human girl could save it or not, at least she had kept her word. She didn't lie, and had kept her promise. There were still honest people among humans. The horse heaved a sigh. It was glad that it could witness this for itself before it died. Feng Wu didn't know about the horse's doubts, nor was she aware that it was anticipating its death. Right now, she was studying the cliff. It was a lot taller than the one which the demon chimpanzee had destroyed before. The horse would be killed by the fall if it jumped off. Moreover, the demon chimpanzee would be here soon. What should she do? Feng Wu racked her brain. Her eyes then lit up. She had an idea. Since she had used the small stones earlier, why couldn't she use them now? She gave the horse the hint, asking it to stall as long as possible while she tried to figure things out. The horse smiled bitterly. This human girl was so naive. How could she possibly escape being chased by a spiritual lord? If it hadn't been betrayed by humans, it would never have been reduced to a spiritual elder from a spiritual lord. The horse shook its head at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was worried sick. She saw in the horse's eyes that it wanted to give up. Why wouldn't it believe her? Frustrated, Feng Wu stared at the horse and mouthed to it that she wouldn't allow it to die. She then started to set up a formation. That was the idea she had earlier. She was the best at formations and had been making progress in this aspect faster than with her other cultivation skills. What formation should she make? It needed to be simple and quick. The dark formation, then? The so-called dark formation would deplete all light until it was pitch black. Luckily, Feng Wu carried formation equipment on her, so she was able to build one in minutes. Such a formation wouldn't last more than a minute, but it was enough for Feng Wu. After the formation was set up, Feng Wu waved at the horse and gestured for it to jump down. The horse smiled bitterly. It believed that the human girl couldn't do anything about the situation. Hearing the noise, Seven was alarmed. He gripped his sword and looked over the edge of the cliff. One look, and he was excited. He had searched high and low, only to find his target when he least expected it. Seven thought at first that Feng Wu was on the horse, so he ran after it, but he only realized that he had been tricked by the girl when the horse ran up this cliff. Damn it! That girl was indeed as scheming and resourceful as the prince said. In a normal circumstance, Seven would ignore the horse to go after Feng Wu, But because he had been tricked by Feng Wu repeatedly, Seven held a lot of resentment. He wouldn't let the horse go. Hence, he chased the horse all the way up the cliff and cornered it. Now, that abominable girl was right there below the cliff. It couldn't be any easier. Chapter 1692, Face Slapping, Round 5-2. Chapter 1692, Face Slapping, Round 5-2. Jump! Feng Wu threw a few stones so that they stuck into the wall of the cliff before she jumped up the cliff like a nimble monkey. When she was about 100 meters away from the horse, she said, "If you trust me, jump." The horse exhaled. Humans. People would always betray each other. In a critical moment like this, they would always choose to live and let their spiritual beast take the fall. The horse had no hope left for this world. It closed its eyes and jumped off the cliff. Everyone was convinced that the fall would kill it. Seven believed so. So did the horse itself. However, thump! The horse was still falling when it felt something under its hooves, which worked as a buffer and reduced some of its falling momentum. At first, it thought that it had stepped on a passing bird. But it happened again and again. So, it definitely wasn't a coincidence. The horse opened its eyes. It saw a figure also falling down the cliff, and she was tossing stones in its direction as she fell. What? The horse was so astonished that its eyes popped out. Because as amazing as that was, it was very difficult to achieve. First of all, the person throwing the stones had to have precise judgment about its weight, the wind direction, the position, and the speed. Otherwise, the stones would be off course. More importantly, she needed to fall with it and match its falling speed. That was impossible to do. However, the horse watched as the human girl, whom it thought had betrayed it, fell with it 20 meters away. She was watching its hooves nervously. She was already very pretty, and when she turned serious, she looked stunning in the sunlight. How'd she do it? The horse couldn't for the life of it figure it out. It wasn't alone. Up on the cliff, Seven was confused as well. He had thought that the horse would die from the fall, but things took a different turn. Seven stared at Feng Wu with his cold eyes. He had thought that his teenage girl from the Junwo Empire was only a common girl slightly better than Sapphiro, but during their brief confrontation, she had changed his opinion of her over and over again. She was a very clever girl, and according to the oldest prince, she had to die. The murderous intent in Seven's eyes became more obvious. Feng Wu, do you think you can get away just like that? Unfortunately for you, a spiritual lord is more powerful than you think. Seven walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped down. The horse needed the stones to slow down its fall, but Seven didn't need anything like that. Whoosh! The sound of him falling ripped through the air. When the prince's assassin plummeted, he fell so fast that the others didn't have time to react. Therefore, Seven landed when Feng Wu and the horse were still in the air. Thump! Seven fell into the dark formation Feng Wu had designed. The horse looked down at the bottom in despair. It shook its head at Feng Wu. It was all for nothing. Chapter 1693, Face Slapping, Round 5-3. Chapter 1693, Face Slapping, Round 5-3. The killer was waiting for her down below. However, Feng Wu smiled a little. The horse looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment because she looked so calm and satisfied. Why? It soon knew what that smile meant. Feng Wu was able to see very far when she was halfway up the cliff, so she saw that the demon chimpanzee was charging at them. Right now, she and the horse were only a few hundred meters above the ground. The timing was perfect. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. Feng Wu pulled the small demon chimpanzee from the net she had been carrying and made a light cut on its belly. She said sorry to the cub before hurling it at Seven. "Master, you told me to catch the small demon chimpanzee to help with your cultivation. Here it is. I'd love my reward now." Feng Wu was so loud and clear that anyone within a kilometer could hear her, including the demon chimpanzee. After Seven fell into the dark formation, He was surrounded by such darkness that he couldn't see his own hand. He heard what Feng Wu said, but he didn't think that she was talking to him, so he didn't reply. Feng Wu made sure that everything came together perfectly. She yelled those words when she threw down the cub, right when the demon chimpanzee arrived. It watched as its cub was tossed down, and it heard what the human girl said. So, the man in black was behind everything. How dare this human master try to eat its precious baby for his cultivation? That was unacceptable. The demon chimpanzee was furious. Immediately, it diverted all its hatred for Feng Wu to Seven, because it believed that although the human girl was the one who did it, she was only following orders, and the man in black was the real bad guy. The demon chimpanzee was as tall as 30 meters, so it was able to catch the cub when it was still in the air, and it saw the blood in its palm. Damn you! The demon chimpanzee's eyes went bloodshot red, and it was filled with hatred. Honey, stay put in my ear. The demon chimpanzee stuffed its cub into its ear, and the next second, it jumped at Seven. Seven couldn't see anything in the dark formation, so he had no idea that Feng Wu had framed him, until the demon chimpanzee struck down with its palm. The fury of a spiritual elder was terrifying. Sensing the danger, Seven stepped back. Even so, the wind still caught him and pushed the mask off his face. At the same moment, Feng Wu had to stop the two of them from falling after the demon chimpanzee showed up. She caught the horse with a rope and pulled it toward the cliff. After seeing this, the horse looked at Feng Wu in amazement. It hadn't seen this coming. Chapter 1694, Face Slapping, Round 5-4. Chapter 1694, Face Slapping, Round 5-4. This human girl had calculated everything, from falling off the horse and grabbing the cub to lure the demon chimpanzee here to the jump and the trap for the man. It was like a chess game. Everyone else was a chess piece, and the human girl was the player. The horse wanted to speak, but Feng Wu silenced it with a hand gesture. She said carefully, "We're not entirely out of danger now. I know you have questions, but we can talk after we get out of here." Down below, the effect of the dark formation had worn off, but Seven and the demon chimpanzee were already in a fierce battle. Seven didn't want to fight, but the demon chimpanzee had suffered on its way here, not to mention the river wasps, which it would never forget in its lifetime. Therefore, it wouldn't let Seven go. Feng Wu knew that the fight would last for a while. While those two were still fighting, Feng Wu and the horse quietly climbed up the cliff. Thanks to the stone she had stuck in the wall earlier, the climb was difficult but not impossible. Looking up, Seven saw them ascending and was furious. He yelled at Feng Wu, "Where do you think you're going?" But the demon chimpanzee wouldn't let him go. He wanted to go after Feng Wu, but the beast was chasing him. Moreover, although they were of the same level, a magical beast was a lot stronger than a human. Therefore, Seven was having a hard time defending himself. Feng Wu feigned a worried look when she told Seven, "Master, I carried out your order. Please don't worry about the reward. I'll go find you some help now." She then dashed off with the horse. Poor Seven. He had been hopelessly trapped. Phew. 5 minutes later, Feng Wu and the horse finally reached the top of the cliff. Feng Wu sighed in relief and realized that her forehead was covered with sweat. She had been very tense the entire time, and only now did she realize that she was sore all over. Every muscle in her body hurt. Up on. Standing at the edge of the cliff, the horse glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked at the horse. "Teehee, do you recognize me as your master now?" The horse raised its chin and said proudly, "Do you think it's so easy to gain my recognition?" Feng Wu murmured, "So, that's a no." The horse was sorry to see the girl lower her head and look so pitiful. It wondered if it had been too harsh. "Hey," the horse glanced at Feng Wu. "I still don't trust you, but I let you ride on my back, don't I?" Feng Wu looked at it with teary eyes. "So, do you still not trust me?" The horse shifted and looked away. "You can't build up trust in one go." Feng Wu agreed with it. One look, and she could tell that the horse had been hurt before, and probably by a human. Of course, it wouldn't trust her right away. It wouldn't even talk to her at first, so this was already big progress. All right, Fengwu jumped onto the horse. You can trust me just a little now, but you have to stay with me. This way, you'll have more time to build up your trust in me. Chapter 1695, Face Slapping, Round 5-5. Chapter 1695, Face Slapping, Round 5-5. Fengwu rubbed the horse's head as she spoke. Oomph. The horse raised its chin proudly, but it didn't refuse Fengwu's affectionate behavior. This human girl didn't seem so bad after all, thought the horse. Come, let's go get little Phoenix. Fengwu waved her fist and made a forward gesture. The horse did as it was told and headed in the direction indicated by Fengwu. Now that Seven and the demon chimpanzee were no longer after her, Fengwu relaxed and was curious about the horse's past. And she was the type of person who would ask bravely when she was curious. Hey. She poked the horse's ear with a finger. The horse rolled its eyes. What? Fengwu asked. Were you abandoned before? The horse immediately stiffened when it heard the question. Fengwu said, What? I'm just chatting. I've been hurt before as well, and I lost all my ability and became useless. I regained my cultivation ability, though, and got everything back. If you live long enough, you'll run into some scumbags. Just get used to it. So, this human girl had been betrayed before as well, thought the horse. Other people might not think much about Fengwu's words, but the horse could empathize because it had experienced a familiar thing before. Because of that, it involuntarily trusted Fengwu a little more. If its trust in Fengwu had only been 1% at first, after jumping off the cliff, it rose to 40%. With the empathy, it had just increased to 50%. Fengwu didn't know about the impact which her words had on the horse as she went on. Other people may betray you or sacrifice you, but I won't. Just remember, no matter how dangerous it is, I'll come back for you. You should never give up your life because you've lost hope, understand? You almost did something very stupid back there. She patted the horse's head. The horse snorted. Fengwu said, I bet your old master wasn't as pretty, clever, or talented as I am, right? The horse couldn't take it anymore, and it mumbled, She's not as pretty as you are, but she's more capable. Embarrassed, Fengwu said, Hey, you're my horse now. Why are you taking other people's side? The horse snorted. Not yet. Fengwu was embarrassed again. You're so unruly. When you become mine, I'll teach you a lesson. Humph. The horse was glad to see Fengwu like this. Back then, its master was also a pretty girl, but she would never speak to it in such an affectionate way. She was always cold, condescending, and authoritative. Seeing that the horse was lost in its thoughts, Fengwu was even more curious. Hey, what's your old master like? Is she really so much better than me? Fengwu pouted. Yes, she's a lot better than you. The horse snorted. Fengwu wouldn't believe it. That's not possible. The horse said, She's about your age, but she's a spiritual lord already. Fengwu asked seriously. Chapter 1696, Face Slapping, Round 5-6. Chapter 1696, Face Slapping, Round 5-6. The horse nodded. Yes, she's very talented and very hardworking. She gained the sect master's favor by working very studiously. All the senior and junior brothers of the sect liked to be around her as well. Fengwu tilted her head and gave it some thought. She was at least one of the best cultivators among people of her age, if not the best. Are you sure she's from the Junwa Empire? The horse was very certain. Yes, I've never set foot outside the Junwu Empire. Fengwu rubbed her chin. That's strange. She's more amazing than me and belongs to a sect. She doesn't like red dresses like you do, all fancy and shiny. She's unapproachable and graceful. She wears blue all the time, and she looks almost otherworldly. The horse recalled its good old days. A spiritual lord, a popular disciple in her sect, and she wore blue with an ethereal air to her. Fengwu had a candidate for that. But could it be such a coincidence? Feng Wu looked at the horse. Don't tell me she has true phoenix blood. The horse suddenly turned its head and stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. How do you know that? How do I know? Feng Wu didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. How can I not know? She was the one who destroyed my true phoenix blood back then and rendered me useless. How can I not know? She just didn't expect that it would be such a coincidence. This used to be her horse. The horse stopped suddenly and looked back at Feng Wu. Are you telling the truth? Feng Wu smiled wryly. What do you think? The horse lowered its head. So, I wasn't the first one she betrayed. Feng Wu chuckled. No, you weren't the first, and you definitely won't be the last. She wanted to ask what Zhuo Qingwan had done to turn it into such a self-castigating creature. But seeing the horse's sad expression, Feng Wu knew that she had to let it think through things itself. But how interesting. It had never occurred to Feng Wu that it would be Zhuo Qingwan. There was silence after that. Even the air felt still. Just then, Feng Wu felt something land on her shoulder. She laughed when she saw what it was. Little Phoenix was back. For as long as Feng Wu could remember, Little Phoenix had always been conscious of its appearance. According to the bird itself, it was a graceful, respectable, and noble bird. How could it be as filthy as the rest of the stupid birds? Therefore, Little Phoenix had always kept itself well-groomed and preened all the time. But now, poor bird, it was covered in blood from all its wounds, and its precious feathers were all disheveled. It looked like it had been through a hurricane. Are you all right? Feng Wu patted the bird. Little Phoenix looked from Feng Wu to the horse and couldn't believe its eyes. What are you doing? Why aren't you running? Are you waiting for that man and the demon chimpanzee to kill you? Feng Wu chuckled. She didn't give an answer and only pointed at the cliff. Little Phoenix had a look and was surprised. It then stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Are they fighting? Feng Wu nodded. Little Phoenix looked surprised. The villains are fighting each other? Chapter 1697, Face Slapping, Round 5-7. Chapter 1697, Face Slapping, Round 5-7. Feng Wu nodded with a smile. Little Phoenix was so excited that it almost jumped up. But how? Weren't they busy chasing you? Why are they fighting each other now? Hey, little Feng Wu, you did it, right? Feng Wu raised her chin. Who else? Little Phoenix was enlightened. I see. I see. You've been planning this ever since you jumped off the horse, haven't you? Feng Wu gave no reply. Little Phoenix was speechless. My master indeed chose the right person. Little Phoenix was amazed. It was all thanks to Feng Wu's plan. Otherwise, they would all have been killed. Feng Wu looked perplexed. Your master's chosen person? She found that an odd expression. Ahem. Little Phoenix wasn't going to tell Feng Wu the truth yet. It crossed its wings and gave Feng Wu a proud look. Kiddo, you shouldn't be proud just because you won this round. Kiddo. Feng Wu rubbed its head, ruffling its feathers. Hey, frustrated, Little Phoenix stared at Feng Wu as it dodged her hand. Behave like a young lady, will you? This is very inappropriate. Feng Wu chuckled when she saw the look on Little Phoenix's face. The horse remained silent the whole time. It watched enviously as Feng Wu and Little Phoenix bantered with each other. It used to have a master, but she had always been aloof, serious, and authoritative. To her, it was always a subordinate and never a companion. The envious look in the horse's eyes became more and more obvious. Jealous. Little Phoenix stuck out its chest proudly when it saw the look in the horse's eyes. The horse was equally proud, so it rolled its eyes at the bird. It then hid all its emotions. Jealous? Not at all. What was there to be envious about? Little Phoenix looked at the horse in resignation. It was so obvious that the horse felt very envious, but it just wouldn't admit it. The bird snorted. Really? Don't deny it. You're obviously being shy about it. No, I'm not. The horse flicked its tail and decided to ignore the talkative bird. Oh, you so are. Look, you're blushing. Teehee, it's actually really easy. Just have her as your master. The bird wrapped its wings around the horse's neck, behaving like its best buddy. The horse snorted and ignored the bird. Little Phoenix said, "Hey, don't ignore me. I'm showing you mercy by sharing my status with you. How can you sneer at me? You dishonest, lousy horse." Little Phoenix's childishness seemed to have infected the horse, and it blurted out, "You're a lousy bird." Little Phoenix said, "Lousy horse." The horse said, "Lousy bird." Little Phoenix said, "Lousy horse." Their squabble gave Foam Woo a headache, and she had to silence both of them. "That's enough, both of you. You're spiritual beasts, for heaven's sake. Can't you hear how childish you sound?" Little Phoenix crossed its wings. "Oomph. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.